The game between the Argos and the Ticats, and we'll stay here for the West.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening, everybody, from a sold-out Iverwin Stadium. There is Noel Prefontaine. He has it on the tee, and we're set to begin the second half of the Labor Day Classic doubleheader. And Chris Martin has the kickoff for the Tiger Cats, and sidesteps one would-be tackler, and is finally pushed out at the 37-yard line. 19 on the return. Mike Pinball Clements, a veteran of these Labor Days, and says, yes, Labor Day's big, but it's even bigger that this is with second place on the line in the East. Greg Marshall, first-time head coach on Labor Day, and what a job he has done. Chris, he says he feels better about his Ticats at 5-5 playing Toronto than he did when they were 3-0 and played the Argonauts in week 4 and were beaten.
Well, come on, they're a more complete team. They finally started to establish the running game. That is a complete offensive package, and that gives fits to the Argonaut defense.
Double tight ends to start. And this is Troy Davis, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, and that's a taste of what Davis has been doing in recent weeks as he gets close to the 45, and we check Chris Walby's Gillette game notes.
Well, for Toronto on offense, I tell you what, little play on the words there, a very big key to offense, obviously in relation to John Avery. He's got to touch the ball more than 6 times a football game for you to win, and on defense, you got to make Danny McManus move. He loves to sit back like a pylon, back in the pocket, and pick you apart. Make a move, you got a chance.
Davis got 7 the first time. He'll have a first down the second time. Up to the 50-yard line with 6 more for Troy Davis as they get things established on the ground.
And let's take a look at the Gillette game notes for Hamilton. Obviously, Davis determines day. We've seen Troy Davis early on carrying the ball quite effectively. He will be a key to their victory. And on defense, you got to feed off your turnovers. This Ticat defense has really gotten better the last couple weeks. Matter of fact, last game against Calgary, 14 points off turnover that led them to that victory.
Ticats didn't have a running game the first time they played the Argonauts, but they're chewing up the yardage early here. Davis close to midfield, stopped by Michael O'Shea. He had just 22 yards rushing in week 4 when they met the Argonauts.
Well, it's a vastly improved team as you see McManus, and the man is carrying the load right now, Troy Davis. A good receiving crew, obviously anchored by Yeast, and Morreale, what a year he's having at that slot back position. This is a really good, solid offensive line anchored by Carl Coulter, and maybe Rookie of the Year, Wayne Smith.
And they lead the Canadian Football League in sacks allowed. It's 2nd and 6, and McManus to the air has it batted down. His first pass knocked down by Mike Fletcher, who's having an outstanding year and led the Argonauts with 7 tackles in their first meeting against Hamilton.
Well, one of the things when they have a 3 or 4, you bring the linebackers from all positions. This time just from the bottom. Comes in on the short side of the field, gets up there, can't get to Danny Mac, does the next thing. Hands up and knocks the ball down.
New kicker for the Tiger Cats is Stephen Fisher. New punt returner for the Toronto Argonauts is Arlen Bruce III, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber who just arrived in Toronto on Saturday. Big boot. Bruce from inside his 5. And Arlen Bruce sidestepped a couple out to the 22. So an impressive debut for Bruce as a punt returner in the absence of Bashar Livingston, who's out again this week with a pulled hamstring. There's Michael Bishop making his 3rd start with Damon Allen out, a broken leg. So Bishop, who was very sharp against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 2 weeks ago, ineffective along with a lot of Argonauts last week against the BC Lions.
Well, that was a reality check for Michael Bishop. They wanted to really gauge how he's doing. He caught Winnipeg, a team that was really struggling to find their own identity, and he had a great game, rushed for 96 yards against them. Matter of fact, he's the leading rusher for the Argonauts right now, and there's Andre Rison, the newcomer, former Pro Bowler, won the Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers in 1997.
Argonauts unveiling 2 more new receivers. 8 different receivers have been added to this team this year, but the 2 that we see today are certainly the most highly touted. Andre Rison, 5 times an All-Pro in the National Football League, but making his first appearance since 2000.
Well, 1998 when he was with the Atlanta Falcons, also set a record for that franchise, scoring 15 receiving touchdowns. Just happy, Chris, talking to him yesterday, so happy to be back playing football.
Well, he was suspended in 2001 for drug-related offenses. Had a tryout last year with Tampa Bay. It didn't work out. And here he is here. And again, we did get the sense that he was just excited about playing football. And the veteran players on the Argonauts really confirmed that yesterday. Last guy to leave practice, and really a professional approach. And I think anybody that heard Andre Rison was coming and thought Dexter Manley might have to rethink that.
Well, they tried to make that story of his marital problems on, south of the border the main focus, and that's not the focus. He says, you know what? After today, I just want to be known as Andre Rison, the wide receiver.
And Rison lines up wide side. First play offensively for the Argonauts. They look over that flat, and that's Robert Baker with the catch. Baker, who leads the Argonauts in receiving and is 7th in the league.
You see a little animosity there. We take a look at the lineups. Bishop and obviously John Avery's got a big part of this offense today. Baker, who just caught that catch. Andre Rison, a newcomer. Also, Arlen Bruce III will be inserted in that receiving core. An offensive line is very happy to have Bernard Williams back from a hamstring injury, and the insertion of Dave Costa at the right guard.
2nd and 6, play action. Bishop on a roll. Looks downfield, and the ball falls incomplete, and there was a real shoving match going on between Robert Baker and Diedrich Mathis, the corner, and a flag is thrown.
Well, one of the things, Chris, that the Argonauts want to do is they want to roll
Forward
out.
pass interference. Hamilton, number 26, first down.
Michael Bishop to one side of the field, and if nothing's there, his athletic ability allows him to pull the ball down and run with it. He's just going to do a little bootleg to the left. He got one-on-one coverage. Now Baker tries to come back, but you can see Diedrich Mathis has got that inside hand grab, not allowing Robert Baker to come back to the football, and that's a good call.
Baker known as the touchdown maker, but without a touchdown in the last 5 weeks. So it's a first down for the Argonauts, just over midfield. And here's John Avery. And Avery stopped by Chris Martin, who moved up from his defensive halfback position. Martin playing in his 2nd game in the Hamilton secondary.
Well, Todd Martin doing a nice job of coming up and corralling the ever-evasive Abrams. We take a look at the defensive line, who have really come to play last couple of weeks. Sheetwood, 3 sacks in the last 2 games. Cox, Lamar, boy, they're happy about his play. In the middle, Donovan Carter. And a secondary, we just saw halfback Chris Martin making a nice play to bring down John Avery.
That defense coming off its best game of the year, according to their head coach, Greg Marshall. 2nd down and 9. Bishop in some trouble. Jason Lamar on the rush. Got it away. And a completion to Michael Palmer. Close to a first down at the 45-yard line. So Bishop shows you his elusiveness there. And Palmer with the catch.
Well, elusive, but originally this is good protection from this offensive line. It's often being chastised for allowing the most sacks this year, but they give him initially good time. He decides to get outside the pocket. I like what Palmer does, comes back to the football because the coverage was there by Renard Cox.
Looks like they are going to be just short of the first down. When these teams met in week 4, Michael Palmer and Andre Talbot, the young Canadian receivers, really had an outstanding day. Talbot scoring his first ever CFL touchdown. And here Palmer chips in early. And it will be 3rd down, but 3rd and less than a yard.
And this is one of these situations where you're really happy to see the vote of confidence shown by offensive coordinator Ken Austin, and attempting the 3rd down and less than a yard to go.
You can hear the fans roaring, trying to jack up the Hamilton defense on this 3rd down gamble. And Bishop plunging straight ahead, and he should have it. And Bishop getting involved here, and look out. Welcome to Labor Day at Ivor Wynn.
And you see what happens there. It's all about, and there's fisticuffs going on in Adriano Belli. And His cohorts are seeing smacks. Fisticuffs, R.J. Soward with the haymakers. And this is early on. This is just, 5 minutes into the football game, and I guarantee we're going to have some ejections right now.
Every official has ejected at least one penalty marker, and now the coaching staff has to get involved. Well, you expect hostilities, but it's already bubbled over more than it should have.
Well, it's a short yardage play. Now, when Bishop uses his big size to push over to get that first down, his offensive line and teammates don't like the treatment he received from the Ticat defenders. They get into a pushing match, and then everything just escalates from there.
Well, they just confirmed 5 flags are on the field. And this all starting after Bishop appeared to have the first down and then got drilled back.
Well, he got drilled back. Now, the interesting thing will be, Chris, did they catch some of the behind-the-scenes haymakers that were thrown? One by R.J. Soward. Take another look. Good leg drive, and you can see they just keep pushing. And actually, it's his own man that pushes him over. And Michael Bishop with a little bit of a forearm to the throat of the defender.
That was Tim Cheatwood at the bottom of the pile.
There you see R.J. Soward, a couple wild right hooks. Obviously a man who hasn't spent much time in a boxing ring.
He's certainly in one of the lower weight classes.
Oh, I tell you.
And this might take a while, so while the officials straighten it all out, we will take a break. We're just starting Labor Day in Hamilton. It's still 25-7 Edmonton in Calgary, 1:20 to go, and here's how the early festivities began with Cheatwood and Bishop to start, and then Adriano Belli pulls Bishop down, and here we go. Andre Talbot took a run at somebody, and then R.J. Soward gets involved. So what does Mr. Johnson have out of all that?
He's got a big list, is what he's got.
We have 7 major fouls on the play.
New CFL record.
We have Toronto number number 4 and Toronto number 18. Rough play disqualification.
Wow. 2 receivers gone.
We have Hamilton number 1, rough play disqualification. We have Hamilton number 78 for unnecessary roughness. Hamilton 53 for unnecessary roughness. Hamilton 49 for unnecessary roughness. And Toronto 7 for unnecessary roughness. The result is a 5-yard penalty against Hamilton and a first down.
So Toronto has lost a pair of receivers. R.J. Soward and Andre Talbot are gone. And Hamilton has lost its safety, Wayne Shaw. And the good news for the Tiger Cats, they've dressed Rob Hitchcock as a nickelback extra linebacker. And now Hitchcock will go back into a familiar position at safety. So the Argos really take it on the chin here.
Well, they also have Andrew Noel as a backup. He can fill for Andre Talbot at the wide receiver. You see Hitchcock coming on, who, talking before the game, says he's healthy and he's ready to go. So he's just looking for another opportunity to get back in there and, reclaim that safety position, albeit not the way this has happened.
Chris, does this mean we see more of Andre Rison and Arlen Bruce,
well,
who was supposed to see spot duty? The guys are locked out. And Michael Clements going over. He's lost 2 players, Hamilton 1, and yet when all the penalties are sorted out, it marched 5 yards further into Hamilton territory.
I think if there's one blessing when you talk about the fact that they lost 2 wide receivers in Soward and Talbot, when you get a guy like Arlen Bruce, now he doesn't have the entire playbook, but the fact is, as a receiver, a lot of times the quarterback can just tell him to run a certain route in the huddle, and that's what he'll do. The adjustments may be a problem, but the route he has to run can be dictated to him by the quarterback or the offensive coordinator.
For at least the time being, Andrew Noel will come in at the wideout spot for Andre Talbot. And here's John Avery, 1st and 10. Avery to the 35. has 3. Avery still looking for his first 100-yard game as a Toronto Argonaut.
Well, actually, there's no Toronto Argonaut that has rushed for over 100 yards, the closest being Michael Bishop in the game against Winnipeg with 96 yards.
So it's 2nd and 7. Argonauts with the ball at the Tiger Cat 35. Bishop dumps it off, and this is Avery. And the speed back, John Avery, drilled out near a first down by the corner, Rodney Heath.
Rodney Heath, excellent speed to get over and knock out John Avery, was aiming for that far marker to try and pick up that first down, pushed out a little before it, bringing up another 3rd and short situation. And once again, you know that Bishop's going to go for it. The Toronto offense is rare to make a statement to this Cat defense.
They do mark Avery a yard short, so they'll hunker down again. You know what happened the last time they gambled. Bishop straight ahead, a flag flies. Someone was offside or jumped early. And this time they'll unpile with any further activity.
Offside. Hamilton, number 44. First down.
Jason Lamar a little overzealous to get to the quarterback this time and trying to prevent Michael Bishop from picking up that first down. Toronto's offense doing a nice job of moving the football down the field, picking up first downs and keeping that Cat defense on the football field.
We believe that Lamar lined up offside. It is a first down for the Argonauts. And here is Bishop. He runs into Jason Lamar. And a short game there. And as you mentioned, he does have the ability to run. 96 yards 2 weeks ago against Winnipeg in a game he passed for 300.
You know what? He is a big quarterback, and he is tough to bring down. But you know what? Let's give some kudos to Jason Lamar. And I know Coach Marshall says, you know what? Number 44 has really started to rise to being the middle linebacker we thought he could be. You know, he's got dual responsibilities there, Chris. He's got to take the quarterback, and if he does pitch it, he's got to slide out and try and get Avery. So that's a nice job by Jason Lamar.
Eastern All-Star in his rookie year when he was 3rd in the league in tackles with 96. Lamar then went and was on the practice roster of the Houston Texans and then with the Eskimos last year as a backup. The Argonauts have called a timeout. And as you see, they have not been able to get anything done early. And Mike Clements rather animated on those sidelines. And we've seen more of that this year from the coach than in the past.
I think you have to do that. As the field general, as the coach, you've got to dictate to the players and make sure they understand there is only one commander on this ship. Take a look at Michael Bishop being pushed down on that last attempt.
And somebody clawing at the helmet. That was Cheatwood. 2nd down and 7. And Bishop with time, looking down into the end zone, incomplete. And that pass split a couple of intended receivers. Not sure if that was headed for Michael Palmer or Andrew Noel, but it falls harmlessly to the turf.
You know that it's only a matter of time before they start coming back and looking short field. 4 receivers to the wide side. Andrew Risen, one-on-one, backside short field. You got to know that you got to toss the ball up and see what this former Pro Bowler can do for you.
So Noel Prefontaine comes in as we welcome viewers of Calgary-Edmonton midway through the first quarter in Hamilton. And Prefontaine tried to put the first points on the board, and it's off the upright and in. And it has been an adventure for Prefontaine of late. That's just his 15th field goal in 25 attempts. But he does put the Argos on the board first.
Well, he was out at least an hour and a half before the game, kicking field goals from every conceivable angle. He's 1 for 4 in his last 2 games, and he's just got to get it corrected. Here's, he's a 4-time CFL All-Star. He knows he get the job done. He's just been fighting a little bit of the bad swing right now. He's hoping to get that straight, and maybe that's the way it'll do right there, but you get a little lucky kick in. Almost like hockey, the World Cup right there, eh?
Off the post and in.
Off the post.
28-yarder for Prefontaine, and the Argonauts draw first blood. And for the viewers out west, it has been a rather fractious start to things. And Troy Davis back to work, dropped the ball. Davis put it on the ground, and the Argos signal that they have it. Let's find out. Davis had fumble problems a year ago when he played with a broken scaphoid bone in his left hand. It has not been a problem this year, and the Ticats get the ball back but have an injury.
Well, I believe that's number 51, the center, the 15-year veteran Carl Coulter down on the ground. We'll check when we come back to see exactly how serious that injury is.
Ray Thomas came up with the ball as Hamilton maintains possession here in the first quarter at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. 37-year-old Carl Coulter, under his own steam, gets to the Hamilton bench. What happened?
I think Carl Coulter just got a little bit of a leg whip from a former teammate. There's Mike O'Shea and there's Carl Coulter, and just going to leg whip him. Not on purpose, unintentional, but Carl Coulter gets the legs taken out from the side, and we only hope that the KG 15-year-old veteran is not too seriously injured.
So Tim Baker moves in at center. Pascal Charon takes Baker's spot at left guard. And on second down, the pitch out in the flat, and DJ Flick has it, but nothing doing as the Argonauts defended well.
Well, let's take a look at these Argonauts on defense. Eric England, lineman of the month for August. And what can you say about Noah Cantor? He's on a rampage, 8 sacks. Fletcher O'Shea, Ivan, he could possibly be the top Canadian in the CFL this year. Younger, maybe rookie of the year, Wheaton the hitter. And of course, Adrian Smith at that corner.
Third down, and Fisher on to punt again with Arlen Bruce back for Toronto.
I'm going.
Baker puts it high in the air, and it will ricochet out of bounds at the 40-yard line. And so it will be the Argonauts with possession at the 40.
Take a look at Danny Mack's numbers right there. 16 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Over his career, he's always had that kind of a ratio. But he's a winner. And the clutch, that's the guy you like to have.
Now his opponent will take over as Michael Bishop goes to work and throws it in the flat, and the first CFL catch for Andre Rison, who is pushed out near the 45-yard line.
And you know, Chris, I can see this becoming a pattern. Set him up with a couple quick hitch passes to the outside, and then a little pump and fake, and let Andre Rison take it deep. And he's on that short side where he's going to get one-on-one coverage. Good blocking from the other receiver to spring him for additional yards. Picks up 8 yards.
They mark it at the 47. 2nd and 3 for the Argonauts. Avery straight up the middle, and he's drilled back. Forward progress close to the 50, where he had to get for the first down, but he met up with Adriano Belli and company, and we'll wait for the spot of the ball.
Well, this is the toughest interior as there is in the CFL, with Belli and Johnny Scott. Lamar, the middle linebacker, stacking behind those two, trying to limit the game of John Avery. And we'll see now as they bring the sticks out to measure if indeed they have achieved that, or if John Avery has given that Argonaut offense, and it looks like it'll be again a third down situation.
Been busy on third down in this opening quarter.
Well, the thing about third and less than a yard, though, is you should always get that, because the defense has to give you a yard from the line of scrimmage. And what it does is it gives you a fresh set of downs, and it allows your offensive lineman to get down low and just come off and pop the defense.
There were the numbers for Bishop 2 weeks ago when he looked so good, and I'm sure reassured the Argo brass after losing Damon Allen for what might be the rest of the season. And Bishop follows the blocking of 8-year veteran Chad Folk, 10-year man Jude St. John, And a first down for the Argonauts.
Well, the Iron Man of that offensive line, Jude St. John and Chad Folk, played all 18 games last year as well. It's nice to have that consistency and continuity in the O-line.
10th Labor Day for Jude St. John, who was a Tiger Cat for 3 years and now mans the left guard position for the Argonauts. So a first down for Toronto at the 51. Back to Avery, and Joe Montford and Tim Cheatwood met Avery in the backfield.
Well, you want to talk about quickness. Tim Cheatwood just gets off the ball, off the line of scrimmage, and before John Avery can even do any kind of a shuffle or sidestep, there's 49 swinging him around, and his partner in crime, not a bad defender himself, Joe Montford, wrapping him up.
Is there a scarier set of bookends in the CFL than Montford and Cheatwood?
And not the way they've been playing. They have really raised the level of their game the last couple of weeks.
Arlen Bruce has checked into the Argonaut offense. 4 receivers to the right side, and the pass almost picked off.
Bernard Cox, boy, I tell you, the converted halfback, they moved him down to the strong side linebacker. They know he can cover, but he's one of those guys that's a tweener. He's a good hitter, and he used to be playing in the secondary. You get him up there, and he just breaks on that football. And had he not just had that ball been a little behind him, he'd be going all the way down for 6.
Broke on that ball like a DB, but he's got hands of a linebacker.
More like a lineman.
Third down, and Prefontaine kicking it away. Craig Yeast is back. And Cox with the rush almost got there. Yeast leads the CFL in all-purpose yards and brings it back across the 35. And that's where Hamilton will put the ball in play when we return to the Labor Day Classic at Ivor Wynn. Bernard Cox made the defensive play and nearly had a punt block on the next play.
Well, coming off the short side right here, he almost gets his hands on the football. See, had it up here like he almost tipped it, but you know, you talk about the emotion. Now take a look down here, freeze it up here. Take a look at this fight going on right down here. This is special teams. Randy Strachensky, the long snapper, Jason Lamar getting into it. You know, if there's any questions about the intensity level, that'll answer it right there.
Flag down as Davis turns. Looked like he was down after 5 yards, and that's why Troy Davis is so impressive. Yesterday, Greg Marshall said the thing about Davis, he can turn 3 yards into 7. That time he turned 5 into about 12, pending the flag.
Well, there's no quit in Troy Davis. He is just a guy that if you block for this guy as an offensive lineman, you get so excited.
Offside, Toronto, number 95. Penalties decline.
Well, Eric England offside, but Troy Davis just does something. He gets stopped. You think you've got him in a hole for a loss or a short gain, and he keeps busting forth, and then he picks up big yardage.
And there was the final score today as the Eskimos prevailed in the annual Labor Day Classic at McMahon. Here a first down. Troy Davis, another big hole. He's across midfield before Antonius Bonner brings him down. 8 more for Davis, who has 5 100-yard games in the last 6 starts and 40 yards here in the first quarter.
But remember, the last 2 weeks, they're both victories, both W's. He's carried the ball more times than he has in any other games this season. 27 and 23 times. That's what any good back will say he needs to touch the football to get into the football game. And it looks like he's on track for that again this afternoon.
Big block by Carl Coulter, who's back in, and they go back to Davis. Second and short, he dropped the ball. This time the Argonauts are on it. So Davis with his second fumble, and this one will be costly as Michael O'Shea, the Argonaut middle linebacker, is up with the ball.
One of the things that happens, we've seen with a lot of great backs, Mike Pringle, what they do is they are still determined to fight for extra yards. And he goes through the hole. You see Julian Radlin trying to leave him. As he tries to turn, because he's still up fighting, the defenders have got him wrapped up. The other guys reach in and try and strip the football. That's just a good job. And I believe it was Eric England, number 95, who reaches in with the left paw.
Questionable conduct. Hamilton, 59, taunting. First down.
Well, that's surprising that it would be Wayne Smith, because the coaching staff said he might be the quietest guy.
I believe he meant 50 O'Shea, who tossed the ball and it ended up off the helmet.
That makes more sense.
Well, it was against Hamilton, and so the Argonauts will have the ball, and it's Bishop with the rollout, and he'll take it down near the 40-yard line.
If you want John Avery to be a factor, you've got to have a quarterback that can attack the sidelines, because what it'll do is spread out that defensive front, not let everybody pack in between the tackles, and then as they spread out, you start doing the quick hitters with John Avery up the middle. Big yardage. Nice job, Michael Bishop.
Well, he has all the tools. He impressed Ken Austin, the quarterback coach, during the preseason. Now gives it to Avery, and Avery finds the going tough again, but should have the first down at the 37-yard line.
And really, with the amount of possession the Argonauts have had in the Ticat end of the field, it's really flattering for the Ticats to be only down by 3 points right now.
Final minute, first quarter. And Augustin Baranchia has checked into the defense for the Tiger Cats. 1st and 10, and Bishop with the pass, and Andre Rison. That looked like he's in mid-season form, stretching out for that. And they say he sets up the judge machine every day, extra catches, and that shows you.
Well, not only that, he's the first one on the field, and he's the last one off the field. And the younger receivers are seeing his work ethic. And, you know, Arlen Bruce, who was with him in Kansas City early in his career, said, you know what, I was wondering who this Pro Bowler is that does this. Why does he have to take the machine in? He says, if you get used to it, good things will happen. That's what's happening.
Second catch for him, a flag down as Michael Bishop took off again. He gets drilled by Donovan Carter, and looks like he has a first down. There is a flag on the field.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Standard Life. Keeping our word is standard.
Preliminary signal from Glenn Johnson was offside Tiger Cats.
26. Penalties decline. First down. And that's the half.
Well, Diedrich Mathis with the call as we take a look at it. Go ahead, Chris.
Cornerback, and you wonder if he was lined up offside.
Well, I just found it interesting. If he was, he's covering Andre Rison, and it looks like he wanted to play a little bit of tight bump and run and get in his face early, and he may have lined up inside that 1 yard.
So Mathis now knows that it might be a long day, as Andre Rison appears to be in good shape. Avery on the final play of the first quarter, down to the 18-yard line, and 4 more. So the Argonauts are threatening. They have the lead after 15 minutes, and the football deep in Hamilton territory. Just the Prefontaine field goal to report. It's 3-0 after 1 quarter at Ivor Wynne. Well, there were plenty of tailgaters here at 3 o'clock this afternoon. In fact, probably earlier in the afternoon than that. And they have filled Ivor Wynne. And right now, the pro Tiger Cat crowd haven't had a lot to cheer about.
Well, I mean, when you look at that number 2, that just stands out right there. I mean, 2 yards passing. I think Danny McManus has only attempted 2 passes. But I guess when you got 43 yards rushing, Troy Davis getting the job done, and Michael Bishop responsible for a lot of the rushing yards for the Argonauts, who have really had an edge in the time of possession of 9:55 to 5:05, and right now driving the ball deep in Ticat territory.
In week 4, Hamilton's offense was bombs away. Danny McManus, in his first 3 weeks, had passed for 1,359 yards, and the Ticats said, we got to get a running game established, but that's all they've tried to do in the first quarter of this game. Right now, it's the Argonauts with the ball, a flag down, and Bishop scrambling. Cox in pursuit, Belly in pursuit, and the ball falls incomplete, intended for Andrew Noel. And again, a flag on the play.
Well, flag was shown as Michael Bishop was scrambling around in the backfield. But boy, if we get a chance to look at this, watch the block by John Avery.
Offside. Hamilton, number 29. Deep second down.
Well, they're bringing the blitz, and this is the second time we've had a guy from the secondary line up offside or jump the gun, and these offsides are really hurting him. It's not a big thing, but watch John Avery come back after this and catch Bernard Cox right there. What a great block to allow him to get to the outside.
Chris, 2 weeks ago, Hamilton 9 times were called for being offside. Greg Marshall was very upset about that, and last week it wasn't a problem. But it has been. They've been called 3 times already.
Well, and it's, you know, you talk about the intensity level, and they're, you know, chomping at the bit to get after the quarterback, but you got to also be controlled, because you can have a great play or maybe an interception and have it nullified by jumping offside. Penalties hurt you.
There's the youngster Baron Chia, who was shaken up on the last play. Calgary native and one of the leading special teams players in the CFL. Greg Marshall has said this guy is going to be a future middle linebacker in the Canadian Football League, but right now he's getting attention, and Marshall hoping his defense can dig in here.
Well, one of the problems that a quarterback that moves around as much as Michael Bishop gives you is it tires out your defense. He's a guy you think you got a shot on, and he eludes attack, he gets to the outside, he forces you to chase him all the time. And by the time you get back to the huddle, he comes back, and I think sometimes these injury timeouts are actually sent in by the coaching staff to allow your defense to get a breather.
Bishop looking very composed to start this game. Last week, Chris, unusually out of character for the Argos, they gave up scoring marches against BC. In the first 2 Lions possessions, they're down 14-0, and all of a sudden the plans to have a balanced attack were thrown out the window, and things went from bad to worse for the Argonauts.
And I got to tell you, I was a little surprised when I heard that analogy made that they had to, abandon the run game. I know that John Avery only carried the ball 6 times for, I believe, 2 yards, but you're only down in the CFL. You got 4 quarters. You got a lot of time to keep coming back. You got to stick with your game plan.
With the penalty, they mark it 5 yards further, and it's 2nd and 1, so Bishop will just sneak ahead and move the chains. So Hamilton Toronto with just 3 points so far, but they have been moving the football, and that has been a problem for much of the season.
Well, I mean, I think the CFL rank tells you right there, last in every one of those categories. Sacks allowed, offense per game, first downs, points. Something they're trying to rectify. I know that Ken Austin's really spent a lot of time trying to turn that around.
Andre Rison, the short side receiver, but it's Avery turning the corner and drilled out inside the 10. They'll mark it at the 7 as Tim Cheatwood again stride for stride, which really said something about how fast that defensive end is.
They have got some speed at the defensive end position on both sides, whether it's Cheatwood to the short side in this instance or Montfort to the other side. But I'm going to tell you right now, you better watch, because they're going to fake the pitch and Bishop will keep and go bootleg in the opposite way. So you better make sure you got contained on the backside.
2nd and 5, 6 receivers out. And Bishop in the end zone, picked off. Rob Hitchcock back in his own position, and Bishop throws one away that he shouldn't have.
Well, Rob Hitchcock with his first interception of the season. He's had some nagging injuries. He feels that he's 100%. Wanted to get back in the lineup. Wayne Shaw, the converted cornerback, was moved to the center field, the safety position, because they felt that he had a better range. But this is a nice job of closing on the football, reading the quarterback by Hitchcock, who you almost wonder where the receiver was. I didn't really see an Argonaut receiver close to Hitchcock, but we saw that in yesterday's football game when we saw Henry Burris throw a ball that was intercepted by the Bomber secondary, and there was no Saskatchewan receivers.
Just by the reaction at the Argo bench, you wonder if Andre Rison went the wrong way.
Well, that's something that can happen. You remember we talked about that. 2 players ejected early in the game today. Talbot, R.J. Sauer gone.
And the Ticats dodge a bullet, been handed off to Davis. Davis has run well, down the sidelines and out. And another late flag after Davis had been pushed out of bounds.
Well, this is from some of the skirmishes between the offensive line and defensive line and linebackers. Davis was well past that pileup, and the flag was thrown back at the pile. He breaks around to the left side, gets to the sideline.
Face mask, Toronto number 50.
Well, that's Mike O'Shea. That'll tack on another 15 yards. Boy, Troy Davis, he is an explosive runner. Take a look at his first 4 games. Only 49 carries, 2.2 average. And the last 6 games, 5 of which have been over 100 yards. That's a nice, healthy 6.1 yard average.
19 yards on that carry, 62 already. As the Ticat offense is moving on the ground. First down, McManus. Now going deep. He's got Archie Emerson. Touchdown! They lulled the Argos to sleep, and then they go deep.
Well, on the 3rd pass attempt by Danny McManus, we talked about the success they were having running the football with Troy Davis. They spring Archie Emerson out of the slot back down the sideline. He gets behind Clifford Ivory. Danny delivers the football, and it becomes a foot race. And Emerson takes it 62 yards to pay dirt.
Didn't have a catch last week. He just got a 62-yard touchdown grab after the Hitchcock interception. And how dramatically did this game turn around? Baker adds the extra point, and the Tiger Cats are in front. Archie Emerson, a veteran of these Labor Day wars, as is Hitchcock. There's Archie Emerson, who provides the first touchdown of this Labor Day Classic.
Well, the nice thing is they've got maximum protection. The 2 backs stay inside for added protection. They go up. They're only rushing 3. That means the Argonauts are dropping 9. No excuse for this to happen. But look at Archie Emerson, as he does so often, gets behind the coverage man, Ivory, and takes the 62 yards for the touchdown. You know, you got 9 defenders back there, Chris. Should never happen.
Baker kicks it off, and Arlen Bruce has it. And Bruce finds some room. Another flag. There have been many of those, as Bruce is drilled at the 40-yard line, a 23-yard return for a man who was returning kicks for the San Francisco 49ers last year.
Well, he saw a little action in the NFL preseason. He said his last taste of action was about a week ago with the Minnesota Vikings, but Archie Emerson getting a well-deserved towel off. It is a little hot out here.
Well, the Argonauts threatened, and then Bishop was picked off by Rob Hitchcock, and it didn't take long for Danny McManus to turn it upfield. First to Davis, 19 plus a 15-yard penalty, and then the 62-yarder.
Offside. Hamilton number 82 on the kickoff. Illegal block. Toronto on the run back. Will re-kick.
Well, DJ Fleck, the offside, and they'll do it all over again.
Well, everybody just a little bit too hepped up for this one, it would appear, from the number of penalties. Archie Emerson, who was the best receiver in the first game against the Argonauts, with 7 catches. And there's Rob Hitchcock, who I think wants to get back into that safety position, his familiar spot. But for the last few weeks, it's been Wayne Shaw's. Shaw ejected, Hitchcock back in his old neighborhood and making a big play here.
Well, an opportunity knocks, you must take advantage, and opportunity is definitely favored Rob Hitchcock right now, coming back into that safety position.
So a re-kick after those penalties. And the one thing Greg Marshall liked about Baker was how deep the kickoffs were. This one not that deep, inside the 15. Bruce once again. And Arlen Bruce finally dragged down at the 29 by Ib Tunkara. Michael Bishop has thrown 7 interceptions in limited action this year. He threw 1 pick last week in the end zone against the BC Lions early in that game, and let's see how he responds after his first mistake of the night.
I remember, not to put the jinx on him, but lifetime versus the Ticats in Labor Day, he only has 1 touchdown toss and 3 interceptions, make that 4 now. He's had his troubles with the Ticat defense.
Len Johnson's crew have been busy, and they're sorting out another penalty after that kickoff.
And you know what? You can go around the CFL and talk to a lot of the coaches, Chris. One of the things they always question, he says, I hope my guys have got the intensity, they show up with passion to play. We're seeing it here today.
They just announced that it
Major
is
foul, face mask, Toronto number 50. Major foul, rough play, disqualification, Hamilton number 78. First down.
Adriano Belli is gone, and you see O'Shea with a gesture towards the rather verbose fans in back of the Argo bench. So Belli is gone, and so it's 2 disqualifications for each team now, and we're still early in the second quarter.
Well, you know, there's a lot of bad blood between these guys. They hang around after the game, but they forget about it when they're on the football field. And you know, Michael Shea, that's the 2nd face masking penalty, early in this football game. But this time, Adriano Belli responds, and after that altercation, as he waves to the fans, he's going for the early shower. We'll see a little bit of...
He's not throwing kisses, is he? The kissing bandit in the CFL?
I don't think he's kissing at this point.
Not right now.
Remember, there's a fine coming with this. Every time you're ejected from the football game, the league fines you. But now we'll get a chance to look at newcomer who will probably be rotating there, Hakeem Kashama.
Well, that is indicative of what Labor Day is usually about, but that's a little overzealous, and both coaches will try and rein in their troops with 260 penalty yards already.
You know, you never like to see the penalties, but I love to see the players playing with this kind of intensity.
Cheatwood jawing with Baker.
Well, this isn't going to end right now, Chris. I wouldn't be surprised if, if this game got out of hand. Boy, I'll tell you, there'd be a whole lot more, I believe, of the after-whistle altercations.
Right now, the Tiger Cats deploying a 3-man front in the absence of Belli. Bishop on 2nd and 7 with the option toss to Avery, who I think was a little surprised by it. That looked dangerous.
Well, great concentration, as you say, by John Avery, who unexpectedly receives the little pitch out as he starts John and Joe Montford, who came over and laid a licking on him and brought him down short of the first down. But Michael Bishop trying to do a little improvisation of his own. A little bit of quarterback sneak, gets to the outside, sees the man coming up. That's Carter, pitches it to Avery, and Joe Montford comes over and brings him down.
So Prefontaine back in, the leading punter in the Canadian Football League. And in his first game against Hamilton, averaged 52.6 yards. Blasts another, and Yeast back inside his 15, and a great angled punt by Prefontaine didn't give Yeast much room to work. 48-yard punt, 2 on the return, and that's why he's the best punter in the league.
You know, when you look at punting average and you look at net punting, which is they take after the calculations of what the returner gets after he catches the football, he's #1 in that category as well. So you've got to give kudos to the cover team. But what excellent placement. Puts it down there where the rest of the cover team will not let him get to the wide side, forcing him up the short side sideline. Makes your job a whole lot easier when you got a punter that can place the kick like that.
So the Tiger Cats are backed up at their 17 as McManus goes back to work after that 62-yard touchdown strike. To the air he goes, and the big fullback, Julian Radlin, drops the ball. It's picked up, and Lamar Slade will take it forward to the 32. So the Ticats have been putting the ball on the turf. This time, Lamar Slade alertly bailed out his fullback.
Well, the old term, the Argo bounce, actually favors the Ticats on this play as Little swing pass. 33 is going to slide out to the bottom. Pitches it out there, gets out. Now he's got that ball and he's going to lower the shoulder, but that's a great hit. The helmet on the football. But a very fortunate bounce as Lamar Slade, 85, picks up that football and picks up additional yardage.
First down, they fake the end around to Morielli, and McManus looks for Archie again and overthrows the intended receiver.
And it almost looked like Archie Amerson tuckered out or slowed down on that route, because last time he did that, it was the exact same play to the other side of the field, and he showed a second burst of speed to run underneath this football. But watch as he comes off right here, he kind of goes down, then he sees it, he kind of slows down. I think if he continues to run at full bore, he runs under that, and we may very well have another long touchdown.
Early in the year, the Ticats were taking shots downfield maybe 5 times a quarter. Danny McManus said yesterday they're down to 1 a quarter, but we've seen it twice. And here's Mike Morielli, the former Argo, with a big catch up to the 50. Morielli on pace for his best year since winning Top Canadian in 98.
That's his 49th catch of the season. He's been the best Ticat receiver the past 2 weeks. Last week, 7 for 88 versus Calgary. You know, they talked about the fact he dropped some weight. I think he dropped about 15 pounds. He came to camp with a renewed purpose. And I tell you what, it's showing in the way he's catching the football. He's over the middle. He knows he's going to get hit, making the big catches.
Says a big reason he's having his best year is because the man at the controls, McManus, Troy Davis, and Davis into Argo territory, crashing down 8 more. For the leading rusher in the CFL.
And they're not fooling anyone with this play. They put a tight end, an extra blocker. Comes to the short side. They run beside the extra blocker, the tight end to the right. Davis just tucks it out. Then comes back in and busts it up for 9 yards.
Huge first half for Davis. On pace for his 6th 100-yard game in the last 7 starts. This from a guy who was averaging 26 yards a game the first 4 weeks. Davis again on 2nd and 2. And he should be close to the first down.
And that may be the first running play I've seen the Ticats go for that it looked like it just wasn't there. They looked like the timing was all off on it. By the time that Troy Davis got to the line of scrimmage, he was standing straight up, and he got pushed back, and he's not going to pick up that first down.
A yard short. Ray Thomas was the tight end in the formation.
Well, they had Archie Amerson trying to block to the short side. You can't have him blocking a lineman.
3rd and a full yard. And Davis again, and he has the first down.
You know, you talked to some of the Ticat linemen, the old linemen yesterday, and they are so excited about the new offense. And they say new offense because now they actually have committed to the run. They're coming off, they're being the aggressors, they're setting the tone of the football game. And you know what helps? Danny Mac has not had to take as many shots. Remember the last time we played? This 2 teams, Antonius Bonner knocked out Danny McManus on a blitz.
And that was one of the reasons the philosophy changed. Here's Tunkara, big move, back outside. And Tunkara at the 35-yard line with a juke that turned Clifford Ivory inside out.
Well, it's a nice job of Abraham Tunkara, who is really getting an opportunity this year to play some football at that wide receiver spot. Comes over, makes the catch, nice little nifty move, steps inside, and look at the veteran though. That's Adrian Smith coming over, number 12, wrapping him up. And even though Tunkara's got the hand, trying to push him off, trying to pick up additional yardage.
But we're seeing a balanced attack in the second quarter after the Tiger Cats were slow out of the gate in the first 15 minutes. Davis, left side, more room, close to a first down. And he may have a century before the first half's done.
Well, the biggest thing they're doing is, I love the play calling right now. I love the fact that Troy Davis is going up the middle. I love the fact that Troy Davis is taking it to the sideline. This defense is saying, okay, he's coming up the middle. We're going to put everybody in the box. Oh, he takes it to the outside. Now we got to spread out. They're doing a nice job of keeping this Argo defense off balance.
He'll take a breather. There's the balanced of play selection. 7 past the couple of deep throws by McManus, but for the most part, it has been conservative but effective. First down, and Julian Radlin's going to go for a run. Down to the 16-yard line.
And Jonathan Brown, the Argonaut defensive end, is signaling to the Ticat bench to come over, and once again, Carl Coulter down.
And the Lindsay, Ontario products had a tough first half.
Well, one of the things you get when you do run the ball, you are more aggressive. There's a lot more pileups involved. It's almost like a rugby scrum, and looks like once again he's got caught up in the mess.
So just under 6 minutes to play here in the first half at Ivor Wynne. We'll be right back. Been a tough day at the office for the Ticat Veteran Center. Carl Coulter in his 15th year.
Well, his leg whipped earlier in the game by Michael O'Shea from the backside. And once again, take a look. There's Jonathan Brown, and he's over here blocking Eric England. Now let's run this play. You're going to see the legs of 97, Jonathan Brown, just take out the backside of Carl Coulter. And those are the ones you can't prevent. You don't see them coming.
Once again, Baker will move to center. Sharanian at left guard. Jonathan Brown, a real force on that front for the Argonauts, and many of the Ticats talking about him as being one of the best defensive linemen they have to face all year. 10th play of the drive, and Davis upended that time.
Well, Kevin Ivan just comes in there like a missile and upends Troy Davis for one of the few times we've seen him stopped in the backfield. But a flag down on the far side of the football field. We'll have to find out what that's about. That's excellent penetration by Ivan, who last week had 8 tackles for the 3rd time this season. Has really become a defensive leader on this team.
So an alignment problem there. There's Kevin Ivan, who's second to Joey Bose in tackles in the CFL this season. He really has been one of the stories of the year in the CFL, and what an addition to an already impressive Argonaut defense, as he has earned a starting job alongside Mike O'Shea. And one of the biggest reasons the Argos went to the 3-4 to make room for him. Here's a swing pass out, Craig East. Past Ivory, but not for much more as the Argos converge. And again, tempers flare.
Tempers flare. Clifford Ivory sets down. Greg East tries to give him a little shake and bake. Antonius Bonner comes over and wraps him up. That's a nice job of defensive team speed to get over to the quick hitch pass, not allowing Ivory to be blocked by Archie Amerson. And there you see the two guys, Bonner and Ivory, bringing him down.
And it sets up 3rd and 3 and a field goal situation for the Tiger Cats. So Stephen Baker will attempt his first ever CFL field goal. Won the job a couple of days ago in a kickoff against Jason Curry. Jamie Borum, the regular kicker, still out with concussion problems. And it is good. Baker has his first. And the Ticats expand their lead now to a converted touchdown. 29,170 enjoying proceedings here. And again, it has been a full day for many of these fans. They'll arrive hours before the opening kickoff. In fact, it's a bigger total than last week when they said it was sold out at 28,850. So they've shoehorned them in here. And the Hamilton fans enjoying the second quarter. Arlen Bruce, short kickoff, big return, and Bruce across midfield to the Hamilton 50. Well, Greg Marshall said Stephen Baker was kicking him deep, but that was not a deep kickoff and a big return.
Well, no, we know there's a bit of a side wind. It's kind of going across the field, sideline to sideline, but on the both of the kickoffs attempted by Steve Baker, they've fallen short, and he doesn't like that. Greg Marshall doesn't, because of the fact it allows the offense or the returner to get his hands on the ball quickly and find a hole.
It's a great field position for the Argos at the Hamilton 50 as Bishop goes to work. And a great defensive play there by Chris Martin. We've heard about his speed. Martin, a newcomer in that secondary out of Washington State, and he knocks the ball away from Andre Rison.
Well, we've heard about the fit, but look at the eyes. Take a look where he's looking. He is looking right at the receiver. And that allows Chris Martin, 29, to cheat a little bit and see it and react when the ball is thrown and make a great break on the football.
Almost picked off, 2nd and 10 from the Hamilton 49. Bishop delivers a strike, and Rison with the catch. He'll be short of the first down. That's his 3rd catch of this first half.
And Rison quickly finding out about the intensity, getting into a little bit of a jawing match with Diedrich Mathis. But, you know, people talk about the strength of Michael Bishop's arm. He is being pursued as we take a look at Rison working the short side, trying to come down, pushes off, comes back to the football. I mean, you gotta love the effort. Going down, doing whatever he has to do, putting him in a 3rd down situation, and they're going for it. 3rd and 2, Chris.
This is interesting. That's a long 2. I call it 3rd and 3. It's a gamble any way you look at it. And down goes Bishop, back at the 51-yard line. Johnny Scott and company get to the Argo quarterback.
Well, Johnny Scott's a guy that I thought has got to pick up his football game. He is a great defensive tackle who I don't think has played up to his potential. He's a guy that can make it so difficult on the blocking guards and center one-on-one, but he just fires off the football, beats a block of John Avery, gets in there, and you see the fire. That's what you want to do. This is a tough defense when they get all 4 of these guys fired up.
2-time Eastern All-Star with the Argos, and even more onus on him playing well with Adriano Belli ejected from the game. So a questionable gamble by the Argonauts. And now the Tiger Cats.
And field position. They just gave up a ton of field position.
They get it right at their own 50. And McManus looks downfield. Wanted Averson, picked off Clifford Ivory. Gets it right back for the Argonauts. And Ivory tossed down at the 45. 2 years ago, Ivory and Hitchcock led the CFL in interceptions, and they both have one here in the first half.
This throw they might want to throw back or pull it back because this is double coverage. Ivory and Bonner on top have got the box coverage on the intended receiver, Archie Amerson, and the only person who has an opportunity to come up with this ball is Clifford Ivory, who does a nice job of picking up the interception.
Clifford Ivory's first interception of the year.
Well, he was burned earlier for a 62-yard touchdown by Archie Amerson. And Danny McManus wants to come back to him again. But watch this as we follow the play through. I want you to freeze it right there. You've got over coverage and you've got under coverage. It's called box coverage. This is a nice job. And look at this. Just follows the football, makes a great reception and adjustment of the ball in the air, and comes up with his first interception.
Michael Bishop took off and dives for the first down stick. He should have it. The Argonauts defense had created only 2 takeaways in the last 3 games. They have 2 here in the first half, as do the Tiger Cats.
Well, it was a smart play and good coverage of surrounding and recognizing that Danny McManus has attempted to go to Archie Amerson 3 times. And 2 times Amerson has been open. This time they had the proper coverage and good things happened.
So Michael Bishop has a first down back in Hamilton territory, 54-yard line, and that pass incomplete, intended for Michael Palmer, the Guelph product.
Well, this is one of the scenarios that I think Michael Bishop looks over and he sees Noel Andrew, and he tries to attempt to get to him, but he throws it over number 6 and under Palmer. Just kind of falls between the two because you know that he's got good strength in his arm, and it's very rare you see him underthrow a receiver.
Second and 10, Lamar comes out, an extra defensive back in, and Bishop scrambling. takes off again, and Michael Bishop has another first down inside the Hamilton 40-yard line.
Well, I don't care how tough you are in the secondary. When you see a big guy like Michael Bishop with a full head of speed coming around the corner, you better not close your eyes. Now, he gets around the corner, Montfort trying to catch him on the backside. That's not going to happen. But you can see he just runs by or through the would-be tackler, and Sandy Beveridge has to come up and finally bring him down, but not before a big first down.
He's 6'1", 228, the load to bring down. First down, John Avery. Up the gut, down to the 33. Close to 4 for Avery, but the most dangerous man running the ball for Toronto has been the quarterback, Michael Bishop.
Yeah, another man down, as we see, number 96.
That's Hakeem Kashama, who came into the game to replace the disqualified Adriano Belli in just his second game. A former Burlington Brave, played for Bramalea Secondary School and the University of Connecticut, and we've seen this a few times there.
Once around again, another roll on the ankle, tries to turn around to make the play, and the backside catches him.
They just signed Kashama and are really excited about him. Marwan Page is another youngster just out of an NFL camp, a Canadian who would have been an extremely high, maybe a #1 pick overall. The Tiger Cats really are starting to stockpile good Canadian talent.
Well, and it just shows you need to have good Canadian talent because of the fact that when you're in a game like this, it's being so physical. We've seen Carl Coulter go down. We've seen Hakeem Kashama go down. We've seen players ejected. We've got everything today.
Oh, well, they bring the card out for Kashama. We can tell you that at halftime we'll hear from Brian Williams, along with Greg Frères and Sean Millington. And we'll also have the history of excellence, one of the all-time great Tiger Cats, Ben Zambiazzi.
Ooh, I played against him, boy. That man's head was made out of concrete.
Speaking of history of excellence, we always enjoy our visits with Angie Mosca, who handled the pregame coin toss. He's sitting with Bill Simons today in the Hall of Fame box. And Angie's softening up because he was happy to tell us about Bill Simons running back a kick 103 yards, or sorry, making a 103-yard touchdown run in 1968 on Labor Day. He wasn't that happy about it in '68, but he was glad to tell us about it today.
You know what? Cooler heads have prevailed over the years, but he's still got that fire in his eyes. And you talk to him, he just had knee replacement surgery, and he's walking around. That is one tough man right there.
Well, Kashama continues to get attention here.
Interesting note, Chris, is that we look at the roster and you look down, Matt Pitts is the only backup defensive lineman left. And you know what? Here's a guy that was a linebacker. He's 6'3". He's only about 250 pounds. He's a little light, but you know what? When pressed into duty, he's going to have to pick it up and perform.
Well, you can see the concern. There is Matt Pitts. The concern among the Ticat defenders. And while they continue to attend to Hakeem Kashama, we'll take a timeout here with less than 2 minutes to go in the first half.
The more they looked at Hakeem, the more they realized how serious the injury was. And you see the fans are getting back in, the players are back in. Hey, game's on.
Yep, we are. The Ticat defense gesturing to the fans to kind of rev them up, maybe get everybody back ready to play. So here we go, 2nd and 5 for the Argonauts at the 33, John Avery, and he's stopped at the 30. He'll be short of the first down, and we will rejoin Brenda Irving. Brenda?
Well, we have the update now on Hakeem Kashama and his injury. We are told it is a possible fracture of the lower right leg. He is now on his way to hospital for x-rays, so we'll have to wait and see if it was a fracture indeed, but they believe right now it was, Chris.
And we will see if we can get all that confirmed by the end of the night. 3rd down, and Prefontaine in. He'll be attempting a 37-yarder. Remember the first one from 28 off the upright. He has been struggling of late. But Prefontaine splits the uprights here. and gets the Argos a little closer at 10-6.
You watch those two plays, the first running play, Chris, they stopped and forced a third down, but it's interesting as the players walked off after that successful field goal by Prefontaine, there were a lot of players from both teams hitting each other on the back saying, hey, see you later, see you, you know, you just see it brings you right back to reality.
Again, halftime with Greg Prayers, Sean Millington, and Brian Williams in a history of excellence as we look at the brilliant career of a Hamilton Tiger Cat favorite, linebacker Ben Zambiazzi. But still a minute 24 on the clock. And the Cats go back to work on offense at their own 35-yard line. And the play stopped. Looked like there was early movement along the line. Not sure if Dave Hack, the right tackle, was the man to jump.
I think he got it.
Procedure, Hamilton, number 68. Repeat first down.
8-year man, and for the last 4 years, the top offensive lineman on the Ticats.
Well, the man, they say, has a heckle jive personality. Turns it on at game time. Nicest guy off the field, but complete reversal of character on the football field.
So it's 1st and 15. And they dump it off incomplete, intended for Craig East. And you're right, it's just not.
It doesn't feel like the same game we just watched. It seems to be very flat right now. Unemotional guys walking back to the huddle, almost looking at the clock saying, well, 21 left before we're in halftime. And I'm sure the coaches will have to readdress this to get them jacked up to play.
Maybe it is a silver lining here that they are going to get to the dressing room in a minute 21, so they can get tuned back into the game. McManus out of trouble. There's his old safety valve, Mike Moriali, but there is a flag. Moriali at the 44 would have been a yard short of the first down.
Well, flag dropped on the line of scrimmage, and this may be going against the Ticats again.
Offside, Hamilton, number 9. Repeat second down.
Archie Amerson getting a jump on the snap count. And instead of picking up what would have been close to a first down, they'll march it back and make it second and a whole bunch.
It'll be 2nd and 20.
3, 6.
McManus hands it off to Troy Davis. It's forward for 5. And it will be a punting situation for the Tiger Cats. So the Argonauts are going to get the ball back with just under a minute to go in pretty decent field position.
And they're very fortunate because Craig East was leaving the football field and he was still on the field when they snapped that ball. He was on the far sideline, good 5 yards, you know, from the sidelines, and they snapped the ball. Nobody caught it.
So the newcomer Baker, and some emotion on that Ticat sideline.
Hey, go over the camera.
I'm not sure what that's about, but they have to refocus in more than one way, and this punt, a short one that bounds out of bounds at the Argonaut 53-yard line, just a 26-yard kick.
The guy that was renowned to get the high NFL prototype kicks, good height, good depth, has not done that this afternoon, and you know that they'll be taking a close look and hoping that Jamie Borum can come back. He was punting the ball well, kicking the ball well from a field goal point of view, and obviously still suffering from post-concussion syndrome.
Now the Ticats not on the field. What was that? And Bishop fumbled the snap and then had to surge forward to get back on the ball, but well, you can tell that things aren't right. I mean,
well, I don't know. I think this is a bit of like the old shoestring where you have everybody kind of walk over there. You have your lineman, because the biggest thing is you got to have 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, and then he quickly snaps the football.
Hamilton, number 53. Repeat first down.
But you see what happened already, Chris, is the Ticat defense kind of lethargic, getting onto the football field.
I mean, time was blown in. They got to be there.
And they got to be there, and then he decided, oh, we better start running to the ball. Very, very fortunate that Bishop mishandled that snap.
And Tim Cheatwood just limped off, so it goes from bad to worse. Bishop throwing the flat and a one-hopper, and everybody's off their game right now.
Well, Joe Montford got some pressure from the backside on Michael Bishop, but he just tossed that one in the dirt in front of the intended receiver, Arlen Bruce.
So they've lost Belly to disqualification, Kashama to an injury. Cheatwood has just limped off, and Matt Petz has to come in.
And he has to play that end position.
Three-man front, Jason Lamar lining up, but he'll drop off. And here's Bishop scrambling and down. Back close to the line of scrimmage, and that will be third down.
You know what? You just can't teach us. Joe Montford, this is a wonderful job on the top side of getting penetration, because Michael Bishop wants to get to the outside. You see, there's Cheatwood, I believe, and he looks like he's having a little discomfort with the right knee. But Bishop tried to get to the outside, and Montford prevented him from getting there, forcing him back in where the rest of his teammates brought him down. He just gets good penetration, working against Fugel up top, and that forces Bishop back into the rest of the pursuers. That's a nice job by Joe.
His pursuit last week set up the Lamar interception return. Prefontaine. Line drive, Yeast has it. And Yeast has a little room here. Craig Yeast over the 40 and hauled down at the 45-yard line with 4 seconds on the clock. A 43-yard punt, 34 on the return for the man who leads the league in all-purpose yards.
Boy, it sure looked like they had that set up to the far side, a little bit of a wall.
Here's the latest Ticat injury to Tim Cheatwood.
I think when Cheatwood went down on that play, he just banged his kneecap on the ground, and that probably explains, as you see him limping off. We saw him earlier also trying to massage that with his hands, just trying to loosen it up.
Well, a first half that began with such fire, and most of it's been extinguished by the injury to Hakeem Kashama. They'll put a knee down and end, or at least try to end, what's been a long first half here at Ivor Wynn. And Danny McManus will have to go through that formality one more time. You can see Carl Coulter limping towards the Ticat dressing room. Doesn't look like he'll be back tonight. And so the first half has come to a conclusion.
Well, Carl Coulter's got a bit of a brace on that knee. Bag ice.
Let's join Brenda Irving.
Well, Greg, a tough way to end that half with such a serious injury. How do your guys refocus for the second?
Well, you know, it is tough, and to see that happen, I know our guys, our thoughts are with Hakeem, but you know, we got 30 minutes of football to play, and you know, our prayers go to him, but you know, we're going to regroup now and get after it.
Because of the injury, because of the ejection, now do you have to change your defensive alignment?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting kind of thin. I may have to put the pads on at halftime, so we're going to have to change a few things and come up with some contingencies if someone else goes down. So we'll be prepared.
Okay, good luck in the second.
Thank you.
Well, just a great game here in Hamilton tonight. After the first half of play, the Ticats lead the Toronto Argonauts by a score of 10-6.
Getting ready for the third quarter of the Labor Day Classic here in Hamilton. Tiger Cats with a 10-6 lead at the half. The big play, the Danny McManus 62-yarder to Archie Amerson.
You know what I want to see is I want to see the intensity brought back, and I would love to be a fly on the wall in the locker room at halftime for both these coaches and see what they said to these guys, because I think Greg Ferris and Millington hit it right on the head when they said they got it, they're professionals, they got to come back out. Now this is how it all started. This is early, this is like 3 minutes into the football game, on an attempted third down gamble by Bishop, who ends up giving a little bit of a forearm smash to Cheatwood, and then it all hell breaks loose. And then you see 18, R.J. Sauer, just come over, and he's just going to start flying. He's right
there. There was Andre Talbot.
And then there comes the over the
Sauer,
head.
18. So he was
and Lamar's in there
disqualified. We are not advocating fighting, but we need to see a little of that fire.
Well, we also added a category as a result. There it is, baby. Players ejections.
Only on Labor Day.
2 for the Argonauts, 2 for the Ticats. First downs, look at that, 8 apiece. It really has become a defensive game. Yards passing, I mean, obviously a lot of it put on that one play, 62 yards to Archie Amerson. Again, both teams rushing the ball very well. Troy Davis having an excellent afternoon, as is Michael Bishop and John Avery, who hasn't got the yardage, but at least is getting the attempts with 9 carries in the first half. 2 turnovers apiece, 1 interception by Bishop, 1 interception by Danny McManus.
Again, capacity plus crowd here at Ivor Wynn. As we get set for the second half, before we kick it off, let's rejoin Brenda Irving.
Well, Mike, emotions running high during that Labor Day Classic, at least the first half. How do you get your team to channel those energies a little bit better in the second?
I think you saw our team tone down a bit and get focused a little bit. It's always tough when your quarterback gets hit after the whistle, and so guys always try to rally to his support, but that's the kind of thing we can't do, especially with a roster this size.
You had lots of possession time during that first half, but not much to show on the scoreboard. What's the key to changing that in the second half?
Well, I think we have to make use of our opportunities. Our defense is playing well enough to keep us in the football game, so we don't have to do big things. Just little things keep us in the ball game. I think we'll get the return in the beginning of the second half. It's important for us to get field position and points early. If we got to get field goals, let's do that, but we don't need to turn the ball over, especially when we're in scoring position.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.
Let's go up to Chris and Chris now.
Thank you, Brenda. And we have started the second half. The kickoff goes to Adrian Smith. And Smith up to the 36-yard line, an 18-yard return. That's where Michael Bishop and company will start the second half. Let's check his passing chart from the first half.
Well, you take a look at the passing. We know he's only got 6 of 12 completions. And here they are, right here, folks, right in the bottom, 10 yards underneath. Those are little hitch passes, little screen passes, nothing over the top deep. And I'm a little surprised. We thought we might see a long one or attempt to Risen or newcomer, Arlen Bruce.
Risen and Bruce are in the offense to start the second half. Flag down, John Avery. Trying to turn it outside, and Avery gets 7 or 8. Again, a flag down. And when Sean Millington talked about Avery at halftime, you were shaking your head in agreement about maybe the offensive line needing to open more holes up.
Well, we just saw him go down.
Yeah, he is limping.
He went down hard on that play. He tried to stop, and his foot slipped out from under him on this new turf. But I really believe that you do see him limping off right now. That
Toronto,
I judge how
first down.
I judge how a back gets up after a hit. Now I'm sure Millington could tell you. If a guy bounces right up after he makes a hard run, you know he's 100%. He's ready to go, and I do think he's that. Now after this play, as you see him going down, he got up and he limped off. So again, the injury bug may be a factor with John Avery again. But look at him turn the corner. He's got full speed, but as you see how he tries to stop, feet slide out from under him. Defender rolls across the ankles.
Knee surgery last year, they say, should take up to a year to rehab. He's at about 9 months. And so Avery's out. Too many men on the field, the penalty. And Bishop throwing over the middle, and Andrew Noel drops the ball. That would have been a big first down catch near midfield.
And good protection from the Argo offensive line. They take a lot of heat. They lead the league in getting their quarterback sacked, but they do a nice job of allowing Michael Bishop to sit back there, pick up the blitz. He steps up, finds a guy. Now he's got to have his receivers help him. You cannot drop these balls. Andrew Noel, as you come across, you've got to make this catch.
Pett's got a good shot in on Bishop. And it's 2nd and 20. At the Argonaut 26. Avery back in as a blocker, and that pass over the head of Robert Baker, who's had a quiet night. And it will be 3rd down.
Well, they tried to go to Robert Baker. He's working up the hash mark. Comes back to the football. Ball just a little bit overthrown. He tries to back up and catch it. But good coverage. You see Diedrich Mathis there, and Sandy Beveridge comes in on passing downs as well, playing that safety position. Coming up and knocking or letting Baker know that they are indeed in that area.
So Prefontaine in, Yeast back. And the left footer with a great punt, driving Yeast back inside his 30. But maybe a big return. Yeast across the 40, put on the brakes. And a 14-yard punt return after a 57-yard kick.
Well, Craig Yeast getting a little animated. We saw him just before the end of the first half getting into it. Archie Amerson. Those two rotate at that slot back position. And you see Danny McManus coming back to start the second half. Looking to add some yardage through the air. And as you take a look at the passing charts, he's finding success almost all over the field. Obviously the big one right here, 62 yards to Archie Amerson. He's also attempted to go deep with Archie Amerson in the second quarter and threw an interception.
Pretty tight to the vest, but for the one pass. And Troy Davis, first carry of the second half, maybe a couple. Hauled down by Eric England, the defensive lineman of the month for August.
Well, Eric England is a load at the defensive end position. I mean, he really can get the job. He's big, he's strong, and he's got long arms, and he uses those long arms to keep the blockers off him, allowing him to shed the blocker and make the play.
Led the CFL in sacks last year and had a sack in each game against the Tiger Cats. 2nd and 8. McManus to the air, and he has a completion and a first down. And once again, it's Mike Morreale.
Well, we talked a lot of times over the years about the connection that Danny McManus had with Darren Flutie. And you know, in the years back, Morreale was one of the go-to guys as well. And he really has reestablished himself as the go-to guy. And you gotta love the fact he knows where he is at all times on the football field, finds the first down marker, settles down, makes the catch, picks up a big first down.
And yesterday, Chris, he even said one of the reasons he's been so successful, he's running those Flutie patterns. They're not precise, but Danny McManus knows where he's going. And now early movement. Play doesn't get underway.
Well, definitely a comfort zone to finish your thought, Chris, with Morreale and McManus. And, you know, that's the one thing that...
Procedure, Hamilton, number 68. Repeat first down.
That's one of the things as we Hack jumped offside. You know, that's the thing that he was looking for. And I said one of the things I've missed since Flutie left is that connection. That guy that I just know I can put a ball in a certain area, and that receiver is there. We're on the same wavelength. And he's finding that with Mike Morreale this season.
So it's 1st and 15 after the procedure penalty against Dave Hack, his second of the night. And McManus looking for Slade, who lost his footing. And the pass incomplete with Adrian Smith in coverage.
Well, Lamar Slade tries to come back across the field, back into the middle of the field, loses his footings, as you say, and the ball goes behind him and almost picked up by Adrian Smith, who tries to come over the top and get his hands on the football. One of the things that replay doesn't show you is they leak Craig Yeast out of the backfield, and I really don't like the fact that Yeast is running at an angle toward the other receiver, Slade. You got to release flat to separate the defenders.
3 receivers, right sides. And McManus looks that way. Jump ball. Amerson couldn't bring it down, and it falls incomplete. And Adrian Smith nearly had an interception. Well, there is a flag in the Hamilton backfield.
There's a late flag. There's a little bit more of a skirmish going on. I'm a little surprised that Antonius Bonner, unless he timed this up perfectly, looked like he jumped the gun on the blitz from the left side of the offensive line. Or
major foul, roughing the passer, Toronto 95.
Well, England with the foul, but on the original Right off the bottom, you see number 10, Antonius Bonner. That was a nice job of timing it up because it definitely looked like he was offside. And then you see a little rough play. Pascal Charron pushing England off the quarterback. Protect your quarterback, fellas. That's all you got. He's the man to take you to the show.
So England gives Hamilton a new set of downs in Toronto territory as they march it to the Argo 48. Troy Davis cuts it back, runs into heavy traffic. Another flag down as Kenny Wheaton moved up to make the tackle. And a reminder that you can vote on the Warrior of the game in the second half at our CFL website. There it is. And Troy Davis would be one of the leading contenders, one would presume.
I like Troy Davis from Hamilton. I like Mike Morreale from Hamilton. The O-line has played well. I mean, it's been a physical game.
You always say the O-line.
You know, they don't get any pump, and they like it that way because they say if you're mentioning their name, they've obviously done something wrong. So that's a good thing to pump them a little once in a while.
First down over. And now they try the screen out of the grasp of Davis. Incomplete.
Well, Dan McManus, after the play, kicking at the turf, he realized he had this thing set up exactly like he wanted. It's the first time they've run the screen. They anticipated the good blitz, the good pressure by the defense of the Argonauts, so they set up. Steinhauer's going to fly out. Wayne Smith releases. They got everything they want. Just overthrows Troy Davis. He knows it.
McManus came into this game with more yards passing than all of last season. On pace for his 9th 4,000-yard season. He's got Morreale again. Whoops! Morreale had to get back on that ball quickly.
Again, a nice job of finding the open receiver by Danny McManus to find Morreale over the middle a little bit by the hash mark. But Troy Davis is going to be at the right side of the screen. Look at the job. They bring the blitz. That's Mike Fletcher coming to blitz. Troy Davis sees it, stays there. That's a nice job of moving your feet, staying in front of the defender, allowing Danny McManus the time to throw that football.
It was 2nd and 20. Morreale got 13, but that fumble may have cost him a chance to get the first down.
They may have not got a first down, Chris, but they at least, if this Steve Baker can pin the ball deep and coffin kick this thing in the corner, make the Argonaut offense start in the hole.
Bruce back. Angling punt, and he gets a good bounce. It was short, but it got the job done inside the 5. So the Tiger Cats back the Argos up after the 41-yard Baker punt. Well, Mike Clements animated again on the sidelines as Chuck Winters took a roughing penalty, and they take it even further into Argo territory and will mark it at the 1.
Well, he talked about playing smart football. Don't hurt the team. And you can see him going down there. His little play right there. Little pushing, little shoving. Actually looks pretty innocent right there. So something must have happened before they got into that skirmish to draw the flag.
Argo's backed up, and John Avery nailed immediately. Donovan Carter, who was drafted by the Argonauts from his linebacker spot, stops Avery after 1.
Well, he just comes. Joe Montfort, look at how he plays that. It's so smart. Joe Montfort does not make the play, but he forces John Avery to stay on his initial path, and that's straight up the middle between the tackles, allowing Donovan Carter to make that tackle.
A dangerous territory here for the Argos. 2nd and 9. Bishop, short drop in his end zone, and he throws incomplete. Intended for Risen. Dietrich Mathis in coverage.
Well, Dietrich Mathis in cover. We talked about maybe a little bit of a communication breakdown where he thought Risen was going to continue up the football field. Risen broke it down, came back to the football, The ball is thrown past them. Just one of those things where they haven't worked together enough to know exactly what they want to do on that play.
Now, I know your old coach, Cal Murphy, doesn't believe in conceding safeties for field position, but most coaches will. Let's find out if the Argos do here. Backed up in a 4-point game. And they do.
Well, we didn't even have time to be hypothetical about that one.
So it's 12-6, and the Argonauts will kick it off. But otherwise, Hamilton gets the ball in all likelihood.
Well, you know,
around the 40-yard
really
line.
there's no decision. It's a tight game right now, and people can say, well, you don't want to give many points, but you know, with only a 6-point lead, it's still a converted touchdown. You're back in the lead, so it really doesn't hurt you. And the fact is, this is a game of field position, and you do not want to give Craig East an opportunity to return one, possibly for a touchdown, or at the very least in field goal range, and you give up 3. So 2 is better than 3 in that scenario, and if you get a good kickoff now, you can pin them deep.
Your old coach says that's telling the defense they can't get the job done.
But the offense looks like it's just going to jump on it and take it at its own 35.
Yes, they have opted to just take the ball on the 35-yard line. McManus now with a 6-point advantage. Troy Davis will try and reestablish that ground game that was impressive in the first half, as the Tiger Cats are working against the Argo rush defense that's last in the league.
But you know what's interesting, and I always talk about adjustments made at halftime. Since they've come out, the Toronto defense has done a nice job. I mean, they opened up the game, and Troy Davis was having his way up the middle. Both sidelines were his. He was controlling it. The line was doing a good job. Argonaut defense is a little tougher to run against in the second half.
O'Shea and company digging in. 2nd and 6. Slade with the catch. Adrian Smith the tackle, but Lamar Slade, who has replaced Breedlove in the Hamilton offense, has a first down.
Well, and again, it's a situation where Lamar Slade recognizes, comes across the middle, makes the catch. Now, Adrian Smith tackles him at the point of reception. But again, it's smart football by the receiver going to where the first down marker is.
Again, Tim Baker now at center for the injured Carl Coulter. First down, McManus sets up, flag down, incomplete. And another flag as Yeast was interfered with. So they've got 2 penalties to sort out.
Well, Yeast was interfered with, but I tell you what, Woodward, number 69, the left tackle, just put a neck wrestling move on Eric England, bringing him to the ground, the left tackle, and they threw the flag. That's a definite holding penalty.
Holding. Hamilton, number 69. Forward pass interference. Toronto, number 30. Will replay first down.
Well, that's a big break for the Ticat offense, because realistically, that was going backwards. You can see right there, he's got the arm wrapped right around the throat of Eric England.
And England was just about to chalk up a sack, but Kenny Wheaton called. And we're now at 334 yards of penalties.
I wonder what the record would be, you think there, Chris?
Realia catch, 337 in penalty yards.
Is that the record?
As I get the slide rule fixed up.
I know who to ask if I got a question.
No, that's what it's at.
Oh,
We'll have to dig into the books. We'll get our spotter Rob Crefo on that. Let's go down to Brenda. Maybe she knows.
I'm not sure about that, but the Ticats veteran O-lineman Carl Coulter has had a rough game. Rolled his left ankle in the first quarter. The second quarter, suffered strained ligaments in his right knee. Normally, he wouldn't go back into the game, but injuries and ejections have depleted the Ticats defense. So he says if they need him, he'll go back in.
There's Troy Davis, but again, a flag on the play.
Well, another hold as Troy Davis gets to the outside, to the left side of that line, and frustration's surely going to start to set in here, because everything they try to do.
Hamilton, number 50. Peak second down.
Well, Sherrod this time the guilty party with the hold. mean, every time they get something positive, they shoot themselves in the foot by taking a holding penalty, and they march backwards. Put him in a situation where now it's 2nd and 12. Call it 13.
Ball back at the 44. Tim Baker, the new center, and a snap that McManus had trouble fielding. Jump ball for Yeast, incomplete, as he dueled with Orlando Steinauer, who was with the Tiger Cats in their Grey Cup victory of '99.
Well, that looked like a bit of a desperation throw by Danny McManus. Kind of just sits back there. The blitz again coming from the top. He drops the ball. Feels a little bit of pressure from Michael Fletcher. Eric England once again making his presence felt. That ball just kind of thrown up for grabs. Actually, Yeast doing a good job not allowing Orlando Steinauer to come up with an interception.
So Baker back in. And Arlen Bruce awaits.
Let go.
Bruce let it bounce. Fielded by a Tiger Cat, and that'll be no yards. And now we've got another scrap on the field, as Chuck Winters is involved again. So apparently he didn't get the message.
Clifford Ivory is pushing him off the field as he's involved with Marcus Spencer.
Just over 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter here at Ivor Wynn. Well, the coach had a few things to deal with after that last play. A word for Arlen Bruce about allowing the ball to hit the turf. And then...
Oh, you gotta love this. Look at Clifford Ivory lining up the newcomer, Steve Baker. And then look at the bottom here. This is the man he just talked to about taking a roughing penalty the last punt. That's Chuck Winters. This time mixing it up with Marcus Spencer.
And so he had another appointment with the head coach when he got to the sidelines. And all that, then the Argos get great field position after the no yards penalty. They have a first down at their own 52. John Avery. And he's not going anywhere. Pulled back by Renard Cox. Matt Petz in on the tackle. Good to see that the knee problem Avery showed earlier in the quarter, not a problem here. But
very much so, Chris, to see him get outside. But hey, what a super job of stringing it out by the Ticat defense, not allowing him to find any room. He's looking to cut it back up the field. He just can't. It's a super job by that defense. Good speed.
Pet's out. Tim Cheatwood back, and Sandy Beveridge, an extra DB. But good news that Cheatwood's back in the game for Hamilton. Bishop throwing, and he's got Andre Rison at the 29-yard line, his 4th catch in his CFL debut.
That's his 4th catch, but I tell you what, that's the deepest ball that Rison has caught, the deepest ball that Michael Bishop has thrown this afternoon. He showed the passing charts early in the third quarter, and everything was underneath. But I really like, you gotta like the way this guy goes after the football. We've seen him go down on his knees to pull him off the turf. Those are the kind of guys that help your quarterback.
28 yards for Rison. His first 3 catches were all 7 yards apiece. Now they swing it out. Avery with acceleration down to the 20, and he steps out close to another first down, eased out of bounds by Rodney Heath.
Well, there's your support for Sean Millington's statement that he doesn't feel there's anything wrong with John Avery. He just might have not been getting the holes. Look at him turn this. This is a swing pass. Nice job to corral the ball and then turn the jets on. And he just makes it, he's such a fluid runner. When he gets up there, great speed, gets to the first down marker and goes out of bounds.
So back-to-back plays by first-round NFL picks. First Rison for 28, and then Avery for 10 and a first down. 3 receivers left. Avery right up the middle, and he's to the 15-yard line. Donovan Carter the stop there after 5 more.
That is a nice job of Donovan Carter coming up to making the stop on John Avery, because had he got past Carter, he's going to the end zone. It's a quick hitter, good initial hole, but see, Carter comes back there, makes a play. He doesn't make that play. You might as well bring in the extra point team.
That's the kind of hole Greg Prairies was talking about, though. They haven't opened up a lot of them for Avery. They did then until the linebacker filled it. 2nd and 5, and Bishop has time. Bishop for Bruce, and he has it inside the 5. Arlen Bruce with his first catch.
Arlen Bruce working against Rodney Heath, who is moved over to his natural position at the cornerback position. He's got good coverage. This is just great concentration to bring in the football, wanting the football a little bit more. He's got his hand there. He's trying to pull down the arm. That's good strength shown by Arlen Bruce.
So the Argos 1st and goal at the 3. And Bishop plowing straight ahead. And they'll get down to the goal line, waiting for a signal. Touchdown.
Well, he got the horses going. Chad Folk, St. John, and Dave Costa, they just formed a triangle, and he tucked in behind him, and he put his big body to work and got the legs driving. They just pushed the entire middle of that Ticat defense back into the end zone. That's just a great surge. Coming off low. Look at that helmet underneath the shoulder pad. Now, when you're underneath the defender, you will win that battle 100% of the time. And boy, Jude St. John, that is exactly what you want to do. Get underneath there, drive your legs. Bishop finishes it off.
Textbook stuff. A 3-yard quarterback sneak for the touchdown. Argonauts regain the lead on that touchdown march. Andre Rison caught a pass, and then Michael Bishop finishes off the drive.
Well, I got to tell you why, Chris. Look at this is Matt Pence. We talked about what do injuries do here. Watch Bernard Williams, Dave Costa, and the center Chad Folk get over here and score with the defenders. Watch them get underneath the shoulder pads and drive, and they score. And look at this. Stop it there. Look at all the Ticats, and look where the goal line is. That's an absolutely wonderful job of scoring with the defense.
Craig Yeast on the return. And there's Ray Marius, who played for Greg Marshall at McMaster and has been one of the best special teams men in the league this year, putting the halt to Yeast's return. Here's how the touchdown was set up. The big 28-yard reception by Rison. Arlen Bruce gets involved, so the newcomers set it up, and Michael Bishop pushes it over.
Well, they looked really impressive on that drive. The way they marched that football. I like the way Michael Bishop threw the football. I love the way Andre Rison came back, made that big catch. And you gotta love the offensive line, the drive at the goal line, smelling pay dirt and scoring, pushing the entire defensive line into the back of the end zone, and allowing Michael Bishop to take it in for the touchdown.
And a penalty on the return, 15 yards against the Tiger Cats, and they are getting into that record area, and Troy Davis is pushing his totals over 100 with that big gain.
Well, this is what they got to do. They got to come back to the man that took them, and that's Troy Davis. They had a great deal of success throwing the football when Troy Davis was successful running the football. Lower in the head, Kevin Ivan finally brings him down, but not before a big first down by Troy Davis in that running game of the Ticats.
14 for Davis on that carry. The first man in NCAA history to have back-to-back 2,000-yard rushing seasons. Now McManus, a quick hitter. Morreale spins off one tackle and lunges forward for a couple more.
That's a nice job of duking and diving and trying to pick up extra yardage, and that's why, you know, you talk about what does a running back give you? It lifts your entire team. When you see a guy like Troy Davis fighting for the extra yards, it's contagious. All of a sudden, you got your receivers doing the same thing. Mike Morreale is out there making a catch. He's not going to be brought down by the first guy either.
6 times in the last 7 games, Davis, the CFL leader in rushing, has cracked the 100-yard mark. 2nd and 3. And Troy Davis has that and a lot more. Across midfield, Clifford Ivory cranks him down.
And anybody who's ever watched this guy run, you don't question how he, in 2 years at Ohio State or Iowa State, ran for over 2,000 yards a season. I mean, he doesn't look any different now in the fourth quarter than he did in the first quarter.
5'7", 198 pounds, but he's durable. And yesterday, Mike O'Shea said it takes more than one guy. That's the problem with Davis, and you wouldn't think so because he's not that big.
And you know what he said? One other thing. He said in all his watching of game films, he's only seen one guy ever come up and bring him down one-on-one in the open field.
Another catch for Morreale, short gain to the 50.
And you know, you talk about Troy Davis as the quarter ends, and remember, he had a pretty good brother that ran, and he played with Saskatchewan. He was outstanding as well before injury caused him to retire.
Darren Davis, but Troy Davis stealing the headlines here. His team down by 1 after 3 quarters. The emotions of another Labor Day in Hamilton. The 36th time these two teams have met since 1950 on Labor Day. The Tiger Cats with a 26-9 edge, but tonight through 3 quarters, it's the visiting Argos with that 1-point lead.
Well, you can take a look at the time of possession favoring the Tiger Cats, but I tell you right now, the biggest thing that's happened is a wonderful drive by the Argonauts in that third quarter and put 7 on the board.
Ifton Kara separated from the ball by Adrian Smith on that second down Tiger Cat play. It'll be 3rd down for the Tiger Cats.
Well, just attempting again to throw to Tonkara, but that's a nice job of not only bringing the defender down, but separating the receiver from the football. Question might have been raised had he had control of the football, might have been a fumble.
So that drive stopped, but they did change the field position game.
And that's so important, especially as we're talking, it's early in the fourth quarter.
Alan Bruce back. And the newcomer Baker to punt. And the left footer gets all of that one. Bruce in the end zone. He'll run it out. Arlen Bruce up across the 20. And then drilled by Hitchcock. I question the wisdom of it, but when you can return it 25 yards or more, you've made the right decision. Well, Greg Marshall on the sidelines in his first year, which means he cannot be on the sidelines for his old team. In action today,
to watch the McMaster Marauders.
The Master Marauders. Sold-out crowd, 53-32 victory over Western, and that's Jesse Lumsden. Yes, Neil Sons at it again. 20 carries, 214 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the win. And I know that Greg Marshall was feeling some pangs that he wished he could at least watch it. He was certainly missing his old team today.
Well, he's definitely got a lot of emotional ties to a lot of those players that he's helped recruit and coach over the years. And boy, that Lumsden, he looks like a chip off the old block.
Second and 5 for Toronto at the 31-yard line. Avery puts his head down, bulls to the 35, and he's going to be less than a yard short here. And decision time for Mike Clemens.
Well, they went for it 3 times in the first half and successful each time. We just saw him score a touchdown from 2 yards out where the offensive line just did a masterful job of knocking the defenders back, and I don't think it's a gamble. Right now they're going for it again.
This time the Ticats bulk it up, and Bishop still gets over the pile for the first down.
And he made a really, really smart decision, and people are saying, what are you talking about? He picked the first down. He kind of hesitated just a little bit and looked for the gap. And this is something that a rookie quarterback won't do. He'll just get in there and go. Michael Bishop took the ball, waited for the surge, and then found the opening, and then went across. That's smart football.
So first down at the 37 for the Argonauts. Avery, this time John Avery's busted it, and nobody's going to catch him. John Avery, his biggest run of the year. Touchdown Argonauts. 73 yards, and they've been waiting all year, and they finally got the flashes of the real John Avery there.
I think they just did a great job of opening a hole to the left side, but I gotta say this, you're missing a couple of your horses in the middle. Belly is gone, Hakeem Kashana is hurt, and they go right at Matt Petts, and they get him outside, and it becomes a foot race. And you know what? Hitchcock is not going to catch the fleet of foot John Avery in a race to the end zone.
The longest run in the CFL this year. And that's as good a sign for the Argonauts as anything that's happened tonight. Extra point added. And it's now an 8-point Toronto lead as John Avery heads to the end zone. Well, Chris, I thought his night might have been done early in the third quarter, but he's had a lot to say here early in the fourth.
Boy, I tell you, look at this. We got one blocker, two blockers, and three defenders. And this is the guy right here. Watch the excellent job that Williams does, the left tackle. Goes up and picks up the linebacker. If he goes out and blocks Matt Petts, the linebacker makes the play. That is a great job of the left tackle, adjusting to the flow of the linebacker, and that sprung John Avery.
Chris Martin on the return, dragged down across the 30-yard line. And a reminder, you can vote for the Warrior of the Game. Decide who showed the true character of a football warrior. Log on to cbc.ca/sports/football and cast your vote here in the second half. John Avery, 73 yards, and now an 8-point Argo lead.
And now it's time for the Ticats to answer the bell.
Both running backs over 100, Davis and Avery. And that pass almost picked off. Knocked down by Younger, the fine rookie corner, Jordan Younger.
And I don't like this pattern. I don't know how they ran this pattern of the route they ran. All three of them were in a straight line. Three Ticat receivers, all in the same part of the football field, and all together on that right side. You see them all together, and anytime you're together, it's common sense that the receivers are together. Defenders are going to be there as well. You want to spread them out.
So McManus, 2nd and 10. The 34-yard line, dumps it off. Boreale, the favorite target, breaks a tackle and is across midfield. Finally dragged down by Kenny Wheaton at the Argo 50. It's a 26-yard pickup.
Well, Mike Boreale has shown me a couple things this season, not just today. One is his ability to catch the football. I always knew he could catch the football. His tenacity after he catches the ball, his refusal to try and break, to go down on the first tackle, but then the speed. He's actually showing me some youth here by breaking away from some of the defenders.
He said the Argos had him bulked up to 238 last year, kind of a tight end mode. He's down to 204 and a little spring in his step. First down, Davis cut down. There's Michael Fletcher in the backfield to welcome Davis as he got the handoff.
Well, he got to Davis before Davis could even get to the line of scrimmage. He just flew in there and took out the legs of the engine, derailed the train, forcing a 2nd and 13 situation. And again, not bad field position for the Ticats, but they really haven't been able to convert on 2nd down.
Fletcher's had a solid year. 7 tackles the last time he played the Cats. He's had a knockdown earlier in the game, and now a tackle for a 4-yard loss. Jonathan Brown on the move. Did Dave Hack pull back too quickly?
Well, I don't see any indication from Jonathan Brown. I think it's against Toronto this time. Usually if it's the old lineman, you're going to see that defensive lineman point at that guy right now. And he just walked back to the huddle and said, okay, my bag. There you go.
Former Tennessee Volunteer star. Actually number 3 all-time in sacks at that great football powerhouse. So Danny McManus calls 2nd and 9. And has a completion to Archie Everson. Another Hamilton first down. Cats are starting to get things done offensively.
But they're doing a nice job of spreading and utilizing the entire football field. We talked earlier when they put 3 receivers to one side and they're all together. And the ball fell incomplete. This time they come out. One settles down short, one goes deep. Look at, there's not an Argonaut defender in the picture when he catches the football. When you get separation, you spread them out, you have better chances of being successful.
12 for Amerson, who had the 62-yard touchdown in the first half. First down. And Troy Davis back. Bonner, first man to meet up with him at the 33-yard line. It's a gain of 4 to 5 yards for Davis.
What a great stutter step. Delayed drop, stop, shuffle back, up into the middle. Bonner wraps him up. Eric England there, but not before he picks up 4.5 yards.
Cats moving against the defense that Danny McManus calls the toughest he faces.
But they changed the look up on every play.
2nd and 6. Here comes the blitz. Ivan's got him. And they're ruling incomplete. Otherwise, Michael Fletcher had a touchdown.
We just talked about the fact they change up the defense every time. You hit it on the head when you said toughest defense to go against because of the looks. What do? They just change it up again. Backside, no one sees him. He's looking at the rush from the front side. And as you're very fortunate because Michael Fletcher thinks he's got an easy romp to the end zone.
Well, was he in the act of throwing?
Well,
I don't know.
I think that's a fumble because he didn't bring it even back, and they call a pass is when your arm is in the throwing motion going forward. He didn't even bring it back. Very, very fortunate. Bad break for the Argonauts because they shouldn't be even allowed to even attempt this field goal.
That's a touchdown for the Argonauts if it was called the other way. Baker's second attempt, this from 39 yards out, and he missed it. And Erlen Bruce is going to put the knee down. He'll concede the single point, and it's now 20-13. Well, was this a fumble or not? Well, upon further review, I think the veteran quarterback did a nice acting job here.
Well, you know what? He doesn't know it, and as he's going, you see he's bringing it back now because of the way he gets hit by Ivan. It actually pushes his arm forward. What the referee sees there is the arm coming forward, even though it's popped from behind by Ivan, and they got the favorable call. They called an incomplete pass.
So did McManus help sell it, or did the Ticats just get a break? Here's Bishop throwing, and he's got Robert Baker out near the first down stick.
Well, as this game wears on, the mobility of Michael Bishop becomes more a factor because he is wearing out this defense, and he's causing the secondary to really work hard to stay on the receivers. He comes back, he comes to the left, he's got such a gun for an arm. He throws that off the back foot and drills it into the intended receiver.
Argos trying to consolidate their second place position in the CFL East at 6-4. Second and short, Bishop pushes it ahead. With a Hamilton win, it would have these two teams tied for second, and of course, that's a home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, and remember, the Argonauts hammered the Ticats in their first meeting of the season, 34-6. So again, that season series becomes an issue in the event they end up tied in the standings.
And with the way people are buying tickets in Hamilton and the atmosphere here, it's a place the Argos really don't want to come back to for a playoff game. Jeff Johnson with the ball. And he has another first down into Hamilton territory. So the former Tiger Cat Johnson with the first down rush. 2 years here, the product of York.
Well, you know, I'm telling you, we talked about this earlier. It's a great job of opening up a hole. But I have to say that injuries and the kicking out of Adriana Belli has really weakened that interior of the Ticats defense, and they're having their way right now, but that's a nice job by Jeff Johnson.
Here's Avery, and this time Avery smothered in the backfield. Tim Cheatwood there.
You know, Tim Cheatwood, we've seen him today chase to the sideline to sideline. He's as quick a defensive end as I've ever seen. I mean, he has got such a great pursuit angle, and he's right to the football, and when he gets to the football, he doesn't miss many tackles. He wraps him up and brings him down for a loss. That's just an excellent job out of the defensive end, Tim Cheatwood.
Cheatwood, an Ohio State Buckeye who started as a defensive back. Here's Montford on the rush, and the pass incomplete. And it will be 3rd down.
Well, we just talked earlier, the play before, about Cheatwood, and this time his partner in crime on the other side. Joe Montford applies the pressure, forcing Bishop to give her that ball a little before he wanted to. The ball sails incomplete, forces a punting situation, and they had to do that because it's becoming a battle of field position. Ticats move it up, pin Toronto, Toronto moves it up. Now they're going to try and pin the Ticats.
7-point game. Toronto with the lead. Less than 6 minutes to go as Prefontaine. Line drive kick. He steps up and he'll be drilled. John Williams first man down, and Yeast shaken up on that tackle. Argos by a touchdown here in the 4th quarter.
Welcome back to Hamilton, where the Argos lead the Ticats by a score of 20-13. An update on Hakeem Kashama. The Ticats offensive lineman left the field by ambulance with a possible fracture of his lower right leg. That was at the end of the first half, where the Ticats have confirmed he's broken 2 bones in his lower right leg. Optimistically, the prognosis is a return in 6 to 8 weeks. So tough news for the Ticats and their young O-lineman. Chris?
Yes, a double fracture, broken tibia and fibula, which confirms why so much care was taken on the field.
I'm a little surprised by the prognosis of 6 to 8 weeks, because that is for a normal weight-bearing man that maybe weighs about 180 to 190 pounds. But when you're 300 pounds, that's a lot of weight on that joint. There's a lot of rehab, and you got to let it heal properly. And then there's, you know, walking on it slowly. I think it's going to be a lot longer than that.
You see the intensity rising on the face of the coach of the Tiger Cats as Davis plunges ahead for a first down, his 21st carry of the night. And he has been a workhorse in the last 6-7 games. This is a guy that averaged 12 carries a game for the first 4 weeks.
Well, I've really been impressed with the play of both offensive lines tonight. I think they've really done a good job. The Argonaut offensive line and, of course, the Ticat offensive line of opening holes for their respective running backs.
Ticats had some work to do with less than 4.5 minutes to go. First down, DJ Flick with a catch, and then gets up as they hadn't put the brakes on Flick. He's up to the 50-yard line.
Well, here's a guy that is being noticeably absent all evening. I mean, he's got a 20.8-yard average per catch, one of the highest in the CFL among the receivers. They really haven't gone much to him today, and I think if you got a guy like that, go at him now. Maybe he's lulled the defender because, you know, Jermaine or Jordan Younger, who's covering him, might think, hey, you're not even worried about me. I've just got an easy night.
I know during the break you pointed at his number on the depth chart. They say that he has been hampered or slowed in recent weeks by a knee problem, but he is a weapon that has not been utilized until then. First down, Cats putting some first downs together, and here goes Davis. And Bonner has to drag him down, not before he has another first down.
What a show of running backs we are getting today. John Avery, we see how he can cut on a dime, but I'll tell you what, no backseat here. Troy Davis, stutter step, breaks it backside, and acceleration. I mean, he may not have the breakaway speed of a John Avery, but he is every bit as good a change in direction back. in the league. Boy, he's exciting to watch.
Less than 500 yards now from being the all-time leading rusher in Cat history, and he's got the ball again. Dragged down by Ivan.
I compared the backs, Chris, and I said, you know what, he doesn't have the breakaway speed of a John Avery, but I tell you what he has over John Avery, the bull, the strength, the ability to run over people. And you just saw that on that play. As he lowers his shoulder, I mean, he's working against Eric England. That's no slouch, and he just takes him on.
Over 900 yards on the season now. 2nd and 8. McManus, quick hitter. Amerson has to make somebody miss. And he will. And he has a first down. Dragged down by Clifford Ivory. Collared, but not until he gets to the 35. So the Ticats in business. And these fans still have something to cheer about. Less than 3 minutes to go. Down the stretch we go, a game that has moved in fits and starts tonight, but right now the Cats have some momentum as they try and play catch up.
Well, you got the blitz coming. So as we run this play, you know he's got to get rid of the ball quickly. See Ivan, there's everybody, Bonner coming in there, 1-on-1, throws it out to Archie. Nice little stutter step to Freeze Ivory. Now Freeze it right here. Take a look. Now this is Slade. Now this is what you got to do. You've got to be down the field blocking. This allows Archie Amerson to get by and pick up first down.
Now McManus a long out. He has a completion to Slade at the 25-yard line, close to another first down.
And what they're doing that's very effective right now is they're throwing the ball to the left sideline, and then the very next play going after the right sideline. They are really spreading out that Argo defense right now. Don't be surprised to see something quick up the middle right now. Maybe the guy they love to give the ball to, Troy Davis.
Well, we're watching a quarterback that's been through the Labor Day Wars in Calgary and Hamilton. Davis, first down to the 20, and a little bit more. Finally stopped around the 15. We're back. Troy Davis, another carry that gets him to 168 yards and the biggest single game total of the season as the Ticats threaten. Quick hitter underneath, DJ Flick! Stopped by O'Shea, a touchdown saving tackle by Michael O'Shea.
And I told you, and I said it before, to be successful, you're playing the CFL, utilize the entire football field. Don't be foolish to think you only get success across the middle. Boy, I love it when they throw those passes out there and get everybody in your offense involved. You got a guy like DJ Flick who can catch the football. You haven't used him to the fourth quarter, but better now than never.
Ball down at the 4. First and goal for the Cats. And Troy Davis to the goal line, touchdown! There's that bull you were talking about.
Oh, I tell you, this is a great football game. You know, they named it the Classic for a reason. It is a classic. Boy, the comeback when you have to come back against a defense that really has done a good job of bending but not breaking. McManus finding DJ Flick a couple of times, spreading the ball around. Art Chambers with a nice catch and then finishing it off with that man. Boy, he is one tough hombre. Troy Davis taking it the rest of the way. 1 point away from tying this football game.
Oh, that was interesting, but it went through.
That was a pretty low trajectory. You know, I think it would be safe to say that had he missed that, there'd be a bus ticket in his locker.
Watch the contact at the goal line.
Oh, you just... This is not something that a coach should take a player and say, I want you to be tougher. I want you to lower your shoulders. You either got it or you don't. And Troy Davis, you got it.
He bounces off Clifford Ivory and Antonius Bonner, and he sticks on the goal line for the tying touchdown that Baker did convert. And with 81 seconds on the clock, we're dead even at 20 apiece.
Now, you know, the biggest thing that can happen right now, Chris, is when you're, I've seen it. You're on the sideline, the biggest play is always the next play. And that means you got it covered. And that means, as the Argonauts, you're saying, we need a good return. Because you still have an opportunity with 81 ticks on a clock to maybe attempt a field goal. Or even punt it into the end zone for a single point.
Pigskin Pete's got them going. Full house. After the 11-play, 91-yard drive to tie it. And they're on their feet at Ivor Wynn.
Well, this is where the 13th man comes into play, having the home field and your home fans making all the noise.
Arlen Bruce has the football. And he stopped across the 35-yard line. Pretty good coverage. 19-yard return. Let's check your Gillette game notes.
Well, we talked Avery being a big key. Well, we just saw that already. I mean, he's getting the football, 73-yard touchdown run. More importantly, he is a big part of this offense tonight. On defense, we said make Danny McManus move. Only one interception thrown, no quarterback sacks. They had to get after him, but actually Troy Davis is that factor.
Well, we saw the wily veteran quarterback engineer a 91-yard drive. What does Michael Bishop do? In response, 4 receivers right side. Bishop pulls it down and runs to the 40. That's a gain of 3 to 4 yards.
Well, it's a gain of 3 to 4 that could have easily turned into 20 or 30. Have Tim Cheatwood again not use his speed or utilize his speed and athletic. He's at the top of your speed. Now watch him come down and grab the ankles of Michael Bishop and bring him down. Just cause him enough to stumble.
What were you saying about the next play being the biggest? How about this one?
This
Second and 6.
You got to do it.
1 minute to go. If they don't convert, the Ticats get the ball back. And over the line goes Palmer. Offside Toronto. And the ball incomplete. There is another flag on the field on the opposite side.
Well, this will be interesting. They may have both thrown the flag because they're close to the line of scrimmage. It's against the Argos.
Palmer was 2 or 3 strides offside.
Offside. Toronto, number 77.
That's the only call. So it's 3rd down, and Hamilton will get it back.
Well, now the pressure goes on the Argonauts, and that means they got a great kicker. I mean, Noel Prefontaine has got a cannon for a leg. But you got to get down there because you got the #1 return guy in Craig East.
You wonder if that 13th man impacted on the snap count and Palmer going offside?
Well, for sure it does. And it impacts the timing and also if you have one audible.
Prefontaine, line drive, may be returned by East. Looking for a seam, stopped up 37-yard line. Check Walsh, Ray Mariusz down first. Let's check the Gillette game notes for the Cats.
Well, we talked about Davis determines the day and 172 yards rushing, and boy, the power on that last touchdown run. And on defense, we talked about feeding off turnovers. Aver's 62-yard touchdown following the Hitchcock interception in the end zone.
Crystal ball was in focus tonight, sir.
I'm on fire, baby. You know, give me 3 weeks off and I'll always come up with it.
So they start at the 39. Danny McManus. Hit and flip. 12 yards to set up the touchdown. He has 8 to 9 there. And the Argos debating whether the catch was made.
There's no sense when that referee is still facing forward, his foot marking where the ball came down. You're not going to win that argument. Get back in the huddle and worry about the next play. Don't worry about this one. It's done.
36 seconds on the clock as McManus works. Without a huddle, Davis to the 53. We really don't have a gauge on Baker's range.
And we asked him yesterday what would be the farthest he may let him attempt one from, but I think obviously with only 30 ticks left on the clock, if they can get it, I believe he's got to get it at least to the 45-yard line, to at least try a 47. That might be the outside range.
They only need a single to win it. Morreale the catch, he'll step out. At the Argo 52-yard line. So 5 for Morreale.
I got to tell you, Mike Morreale has really, really earned a game ball. I mean, he has been the clutch receiver all afternoon. finding the holes, making the catches, and turning those catches into big plays.
8 catches, 91 yards for Morreale. He had 7 last week for 88, so he's become the possession man in a big way. 2nd and 5. They'll give it to Davis, and Troy Davis is going to get it. That's how much confidence they had in him.
Well, and you know what? This is something that's you've got to understand as a football player and people out there to understand how good Troy Davis is. When he gets his football, he stops. He stutter steps. He thinks about breaking it back to the outside, and just at the last second, there's a crease, and he busts it up the middle and picks up the first down. Instinct.
Timeout, Tiger Cats. Davis at 185 yards.
But look at him. I mean, he is determined, and he's going north-south. Great change of direction. The offensive line, you got to give them kudos. They have played a whale of a game. Now, we talked about that offensive line. We talked about the fact they're missing Carl Coulter, their 15-year veteran who's out with a little bit of a knee injury. Pascal Sharon's in. We see there's the kicker.
Well, he's the man on the spot. He won the job 2 days ago in a kickoff with Jason Curry. He's had a spotty night.
Come on. I got nothing against Jason Curry, but he's 3 for 9 in field goals, and I'd rather have someone who's got a bit of a leg who can kick the field goal.
Will he have to kick a field goal, or will they try and punt for the single? Here's McManus. Quickly out Amerson. And Amerson gets it down to the 37 with 8 seconds to go.
Well, now you're at a 45-yarder. This is makeable. This is makeable. But you got 8 seconds. Run the ball. Get in the middle of the field if you can. But looks like they're not going to.
They're going to go for it right now. Well, after watching that convert barely get in.
Did they have their time? Did they use
They just took their time.
Okay. I would have ran. I would have thought of maybe running one more to put in the field. They called timeout. Go down. Just Danny Mack even run over in the middle of the football field. But maybe, because remember one thing, this guy's a southpaw kicker. He kicks with the left leg.
He missed from 39.
And he's kicking from the opposite hash.
Late cut of the Raiders. Puts it up. And he'll miss it. And the Argonauts will bring it out. Adrian Smith will step out. And we will have overtime. It's been a long night. It'll get a little longer and a little more interesting.
Well, I'm going to stick to my guns, and I really believe that you take one more play, you put it in the middle of the football field, you've got a left-footed kicker, you give him every opportunity to kick that ball. You put him on the opposite side, it makes it a tough kick. He's trying to angle it over, and he's missing it to the other side. He's overcompensating for where he's kicking from.
Well, nobody ever confused me for Frank Clair, but I might have just tried to angle it out of bounds for a single point. You don't need 3, you only need 1.
Well, they could have punted then. Is that what you're saying?
Well, either that or,
but remember,
or just angle on a field goal.
On a field goal, you're 7 yards back. On a punt, you're 15.
Get it into the end zone and try and kick it out.
I don't know. That's a tough call there, Chris. I might agree with you. But, again, my whole philosophy is that you always try and put your team in the best situation to kick a field goal, and I was just a little surprised that they didn't have Danny move to the middle, go down, call timeout.
So they will have the coin toss to see who goes first. And again, they'll get a couple of series either way to decide this. And while we get ready for overtime, we'll take a break. 2020, and still more to go. Well, we're back. We're in overtime, and everybody's so juiced up. They started without us, and Arlen Bruce just caught a pass down to the 21-yard line. So the teams start at their opponent's 35, and the Argos get the first series offensively. And Avery, great sidestep, but then not going anywhere. Joe Montfort brings him down.
Well, Joe Montfort brought him down when Matt Petts made the play. The whole thing is to allow him to come to the outside. We'll take a look at some of the overtime rules. Team scrimmage at the opposition's 35. You only get 2 possessions or 2 attempts. Defense score, game is obviously over. Example, interception. A losing team will not receive a point. We changed that rule. It used to be you get a point. That was a stupid rule.
So it's second down. BC beat Calgary in an overtime game. This season, this is the second And Bishop back in trouble. And he's down. And Matt Petz, who's had to come in and play on the D-line for Adriano Belli and Hakeem Kashama, comes up with a big play.
Matt Pitts, that's raising your game to the next level. When you're in an opportunity like this, you got to step up, play like a man. That's the last 2 plays he's come up and made big plays. I mean, you're hanging on, you're bringing down an elusive, tough guy to bring down at Michael Bishop. And now you've forced Noel Prefontaine to try a 39-yard field goal.
So Prefontaine looking for his 3rd of the game. And he nails it. And the Argos have a 23-20 lead. And now Hamilton will scrimmage with a chance to win it with a touchdown.
Well, chance to win it, but I tell you what, you got to put a camera. You got to look at that other kid. Let's take a look at Steve Baker on the sideline during this play, because in his mind, he knows he's missed one. He's missed a couple tonight, and it's in his head right now.
Again, Jamie Borum, who had played so well, kicked so well for the Tiger Cats, has been out with post-concussion problems. And Greg Marshall gave the job to the import kicker on the weekend after a kick.
And I'll tell you what, I don't care. You know how a kicker gets confidence, says, let me win the game. They usually got that confidence. I guarantee in the back of his mind, Steve Baker saying, offense, score a touchdown.
Troy Davis had that smile as if he's got a touchdown on his mind. He's got the ball, and he's got a hole.
Oh,
inside the 20, down to the 13.
Wonderful block by DJ Flick. Boy, I tell you what, you talk about the linemen, but it's got to be a team. 12 guys on the football field. And DJ Flick down at the end, cutting the defender in the secondary, allowing Troy Davis to get to the outside and pick up additional yardage. That is a nice job.
He's at 207 yards. He needs 3 more for 1,000 on the year. But right now, all they care about is getting into the end zone.
And he's 12 for the victory.
McManus, short drop, end zone to Kara, and it's over his head out of play.
I don't know. I'm watching from up here, and it's easy to see, and it's easy to make comments up here. Craig Yeast is going to come back, and he's going to get in Danny's ear. He was wide open on the top of the screen, felt that the ball could have came to him, but I don't know.
I know you're a closet offensive coordinator. You didn't like that play from the get-go.
No, I think it's a wasted play. I don't like that. I know you're trying to make it work, but it just seemed like a wasted play.
2nd and 10 from the 13. Ticats looking for the win. McManus sidestepped the pressure. End zone Yeast. Incomplete. And now it's in the hands of the newcomer.
And this is why it bothers me. You've got a guy that rushes for 200+ yards. He's had success running the football. You've got a first down on the 13-yard line. Why not at least give him another opportunity first? And then if you have to throw second down, throw second down. You wasted the first throw deep trying to find Tunkera, and then he overthrows Yeast on the backside.
Baker needs this to force a second set of offensive series to keep the Ticats in the game. And he's got it.
Well, he's got a low trajectory, Chris, and I'm going to tell you, if we take a look at this, I'm surprised because somebody starts climbing the backs of the defenders. You got a chance to block this. He just kicks it straight off like a golf tee.
Well, that convert looked blockable.
I mean, I know he's happy. He's relieved he made that kick. We're going to start again. This is the last series. But watch the trajectory. It's so low. It's just over the defense head. And I guarantee you, the coach is going to get in their head and say, get your hands up. You got an opportunity to block that.
So Baker keeps his new team alive and will get another series.
Let's just say this. Had he not made that, it would not be his new team. It would be his ex-team because he's 21 yards out. You hate to be critical, but you've got to make, that's what you're there for. That's your job. You're only on the field 4 or 5 times a night. You better make sure that you contribute each time you're on the field.
Well, Mike Clemens called it the biggest game of the season, and The drama is building.
That's been a great game. This is what it's all about. It's exciting. Good football. They switch hands now and they work the opposite end.
And the Tiger Cats will go first. Again, starting at the 35-yard line. And it's back to Troy Davis. And there is 3 yards turned into 7. Just like his coach said.
You know what? And that's just remarkable. I mean, he gets a little help from the offensive line to push from the backside, but what would have been a second and long situation now turns into a second and medium, and that gives you more options.
They mark it at the 29, so it's 6, and it's 2nd and 4. Quick hit, Amerson, big catch, but he's going to be close to the first down. Let's see, he had to get to the 25. They're going to mark it at the 26. It's 3rd and 1. Boy, and now you've got another decision.
I tell you what, you know what? Had they gambled on that puppy, I tell you, Adrian Smith was doing the old peekaboo. They jumped, him and Ivory, they jumped on Amerson. And the guy going behind him was, if they would have pump faked on that, I promise you, DJ's wide open in the end zone.
3rd and 1, and they're going for it. That's a long one, 4 feet.
Well, make sure you stay onside and play smart. They got double tight end in.
Radlin and Davis, early movement. Davis with a lot, all the way down inside the 10. That line exploded. I thought they were off the ball too quickly.
Now, I know you can only give one Warrior of the week. And you know what? You look at the stats, and it's always the guy who does a lot offensively, who gets his name mentioned. And I know it right now it's Troy Davis. Look at this as he hops through. But you know what? You got to give some kudos to that O-line. They did a great job. I'd give all 5 of them and Troy Davis the Warrior.
I mean, Wayne Smith exploded out of the blocks as if he was running the 100 meters. Look at Davis on the game.
That's unbelievable.
18-yard carry, first down. And guess who? To the 5.
Well, they've talked about Wayne Smith. And Greg Marshall will tell you right now that he really feels that this guy definitely should be a candidate, should be looked at seriously for Rookie of the Year.
He said that if you give other teams a choice of taking a first-year player off any roster, he said most teams will take him. 59, Wayne Smith.
Well, he's a keeper.
Just 2 for Davis on that last carry, and now the Ticats look.
But this is what they did last year.
Second and 5.
Maybe they should have ran the first time, then throw.
What does Danny McManus call here? Davis again, touchdown! Who else? The greatest single rushing game in Hamilton Tiger Cat history, and now Troy Davis has put the Tiger Cats up by 6.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm just honored to be able to watch this display put on by this running back, this offense, and that's not taking anything away from John Avery and the Argonaut offense. They've been exciting on the other side, but boy, I'll tell you, what a football game. Fans definitely are getting their money's worth today.
Jerry McDougall in 1957, 213 yards. Troy Davis has 239. Fisher, Chet Baker. I'm thinking of Stephen Fisher, the former Ticat DB, but it's Baker on the spot and right on the mark there.
Well, and this is it. You're in 3-down territory for the Argonauts, but just a little delayed draw, nothing fancy, but look at the explosion. And you know, Julian Radlin, you know, back that up, people. If we could get that look at that one more time after. Your fullback is such a key. We've talked about the O-line, but Julian Radlin, what a great job of kicking out on that play, allowing Troy Davis to tuck inside and get into the end zone. That's wonderful execution at the point of attack.
So now the ball in the Argo court. They got to deal with the 13th man. Bootleg and Bishop rolling. Nobody open. And finally, game tackle at the 33. That was a long 2-yard gain.
You know what? That's a long 2-yard gain, but that's smart football because when you got a guy like Michael Bishop, you want to get him out in a scenario where you put the secondary in a tough situation. Do I come up and make the tackle, or do I stay with my cover guy? They stay with their cover guy. They waited for the pursuit, and they brought him down after a 2-yard gain. That's good coverage by the Ticats secondary.
29,000 plus on their feet at Iberwin. 2nd and 8. Again, the Argos look like they're offside. Flag down. And the pass across is caught by Risen. But
flag down on the far side of the field.
Were offside.
Well, again, it's a scenario where the crowd comes into play, the noise.
Offside. Down number 88. Keep 2nd down.
Robert Baker at the top.
He's at the top, but I tell you what, one of the things that people say is, hold it, what about the snap count? You know what? They never hear the snap count anyway. They're supposed to watch the football and then take off on the snap of the football.
So it's 2nd down over, 13 to go. Six receivers out. And Bishop has it knocked away. And it brings up 3rd down.
Well, you know you're in 3-down territory anyway. You've got to move it now. You got, not only do you got to get the normal 10 yards, you've got to get 13 yards. You better have a play here. You need to get some protection.
Jason Lamar with the knockdown.
Now defensively, what do? Do you play safe? You come after him and put a little pressure on him? Well, it's a game of chess out there.
3rd and 13. The Argos have to get to the 25 to still have a chance to win it. Bishop in trouble. Downfield, incomplete, but a flag. A flag on the play. Intended for Andrew Noel.
And they're going to call illegal contact. And the Argonauts are going to get a fresh set of downs. Just when you thought you could go home, get an hour's sleep, go to work, we're here still.
Forward pass interference. Hamilton number 24. First down.
Bernard Cox. And it's a 26-yard gain. Shielding.
That was shielding, illegal contact, not allowing the receiver to come back to the football. Good call.
First down, Bishop. Quarterback draw. And Michael Bishop carries the pile inside the 5.
Now he's at the 3-yard line. Players are waving. Someone must be down. We have an injury down.
Tim Cheatwood hurt.
Tim Cheatwood down. They can ill afford to lose him at this point. Well, he looks to be in a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort as well. I have to tell you though, Chris, remember last time they were down on the 3-yard line. The Argonaut offensive line got underneath the Ticat defenders and 3 yards out, and they scored. So,
and with this injury, they've lost Cheatwood. He has to go off.
He's got to go off for 3 plays, yeah. Just kind of buckles the knee. You can see he kind of falls back on the knee at an awkward angle.
If the Argos score here, the game will end in a tie, providing that Prefontaine adds the convert.
Well, now not only that, let's take a look at this now. You got Montford, you got Scott, you got Pitts. Now you lost Cheatwood, you got Nobelli, you got Kashama. You've got 3 defensive linemen in there, basically 2 and a converted linebacker. I mean, I'm looking for number 55, and I'm looking at the bubble side linebacker, and if I'm going to run, that's the side I'm going to attack. I'm going to run away from Joe Montford. Let's see what they do.
Well, they're going to take their time with Cheatwood to let that defense refuel for one last gasp.
Well, remember, they got 2 kicks at the cat here.
Well, it has been a long night in many ways, penalty-filled. The third most penalties in a football game.
I'll tell you,
yeah, what's going on here? Winnipeg in two of them will be certainly a major factor, I'm sure.
I'm telling you, I love the fact that this is the way that thanks for pointing that out. I was kind of hoping no one would kind of associate those years. Rob Creefel kind of spilling the beans up here.
Well, here's Woodard, an offensive tackle. They're putting the buffet boys in now.
And that's what you got. This is a smart move by Coach Marshall. Get some beef in there. You cannot play on the goal line with linebackers. You've got to have size.
Jonta Woodard, 6'5", 325. Going to turn around and play on the other side of the ball as Cheatwood, one of the premier defensive players in the league, hobbles off.
Well, it's a big play, and I think it's exactly what you got to do. Because I tell you what, had they not put Woodward in, and they put another linebacker, I'd run right at that linebacker. And I'm sure the Argonauts would do the same.
Woodard looks a little like Nate Davis of Saskatchewan in there. He's going to try and plug the hole.
Plug the hole, stay up. He just wants to get low and penetrate.
2nd and 2 from the 4. With the big horse, Bishop, at the controls. Straight ahead. And Cox pulls him down. Should be close to the first down.
Well, depending where they mark it, but that is a nice job. We just talked about the newcomer Woodward going in there to fill in as an offensive lineman. He does his job, and he actually forces Bishop to bounce to the outside. What the horse did, Bishop he pushes Renard Cox back. And again, it'll all come down to where they put this football to determine whether it's a 3rd and short or a fresh set of downs from the 3.
Michael Bishop has carried the ball 15 times, 73 yards. They're short. So it could come to an end here if they don't make it, but the reverse side is they get an extra down there.
You're in that huddle right now. You're saying, don't line up offside. That's the worst. Don't give them an easy one. Get your yard, get low, get penetration. Let the linebackers come over the top and make the play.
In the trenches, 3rd and less than a yard. And he stacked up, but didn't need much.
Oh, I think he got it. That was a pretty good surge by the offensive line. And again, Michael Bishop used the big size of his body to go across there, and they got it. They're down to the 2-yard line. 3 cracks from the 2. With a depleted Ticat defensive line. It comes down. Football comes down to a handful of plays, and we are at that stage where this is the handful that will determine the victory or the tie.
Now Bishop plowing ahead again off the left side. No indication. And likely to be spotted at the 1.
But you see where they're going. They're going after Matt Petts. They're going after the lighter guy. They're staying away from Joe Montford.
Petts started out. They're making 1 change. And Cheatwood's back in. So Cheatwood back in. 2nd and goal from the 1 as the Argos try and tie it.
Going to bounce to the left.
Look at Lamar over the top, and they didn't get it. Jason Lamar timed that lunge perfectly.
Oh, I was surprised when I saw the lineup and how the Ticat defense was. I thought the Bishop saw that, and I thought he was going to bounce it to the left. Instead, he tried to take it right over to center.
Well, the middle linebacker showing you his athleticism.
Well, does it get any better when it comes down to 1 play? 3rd and 1 from the 1. Full house, everybody standing. Boy, this is football.
One final play. Bishop, touchdown. That's what you were looking for.
Well, you know they're going to stack everybody over the center. I thought he'd go to the left last play. This time he goes to the opposite way. Takes it to the right. Nice play calling. It's a nice job. Both teams, you got to give them kudos today. They really played a whale of a game. It's been an entertaining football game, but remember, we still got the extra point.
Crazy.
I'm Hamilton. I'm coming after this. You got to go for the block.
So it comes down to the toe of Noel Prefontaine and what should be automatic to keep the Argos 2 points up on Hamilton. And yes, indeed, although, hold on, we're not done. Flag on the play.
Well, you know, you don't want to get a penalty where it marches halfway to the goal line, because now 2 points scenario comes in where you can actually go for the win.
Well, that would be a courageous call.
Well, especially after they took three tries to get from the 1 yard line. Would you do it again, or would you just settle for the one and say we got 1 point?
They're going to decline. Nope, they won't take that chance.
Pyramiding. Hamilton 49. Penalties decline. They'll take the point. The game's declared a tie.
That's a great job. Pyramiding means the player is jumping on the back of the man in front of him to create a pyramid to try to go up and knock down or deflect the attempted point after. What a great game, though, Chris. You got to love it.
It was a long night, but it will be one that these fans will remember for some time. The first Labor Day Classic to go to overtime, and it results in a tie between two bitter rivals. Brenda?
Well, Mike Morale was one of the clutch receivers for the Ticats today, and you know, they talk about the Labor Day Classic. The Classic, it sure lived up to its name today.
Yeah, I definitely hope the fans are probably somewhat happy. You know, we wanted the 2 points, came away with one. We're kind of in the same position but when we started the game, but you know, offensively moved the ball when we need to at the end and kind of got in a roll. It's just unfortunate we couldn't pull it off.
Coach Greg Marshall said heading into this one that it was a different Ticat team that was facing the Argos this time as opposed to earlier in the year. How do you think the team proved that tonight?
Well, I think when the chips were down in the end, we came back. Danny Mack came in, moved the football, called a great game plan near the end there. We moved that ball. You know, we put ourselves in a position to win. We just didn't do it, and it's a little bittersweet, but at the same time, we showed a lot of progress over the last time we played these guys.
You look like a different player than you did a year ago with the Argos. Can you tell me what the biggest difference has been?
Just coming home again and playing with Danny Mack and a great group of receivers and O-line makes it easy.
Congratulations on a great game.
Thank you.
Let's go to Brian now.
Thank you, Brenda. We'll take a break. Rob Hitchcock and the Hamilton Ticats in a 30-all tie with the Toronto Argonauts. The term classic is loosely used. Believe me, it is appropriate tonight here in Hamilton. Back at Ivor Wynn right after this.